the maximum level expert. She thrives in interstellar riches. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 851. You know what a hot man too. Luyan didn't know when the call was disconnected. He just stood there with his fists clenched silently. Every word from the other party made him worried. But it's good this way. Young people should have some emotions of their own. Besides, I don't want you to lock yourself up and always look cold and indifferent to the world. Okay, let's get back to the point. I have read Wen Jiu's information. She is a level 6 superpower at such a young age. It's no wonder that you treat her differently. For such a talented person, even I will pay more attention to her. She also broke into Doris Star alone and blew up the glowing port beyond recognition. Most people don't have such courage in character, so it's understandable that you treat her differently. But I still hope you don't pay too much attention to her, because she and you are not from the same world after all. When Luyan came to his senses, he found that he had cut his fair palm because of worry. Scarlet blood beads rolled down one by one, falling on the green grass, so red that it was dazzling, as if foreshadowing a bad ending. The wind was howling. On one side was a lively crowd with a bonfire, and on the other side was a dark and dangerous forest. He stood at the dividing line between light and darkness, and his thoughts had already become a mess. It was not until Captain Zhang came over that he suppressed his emotions. With a barely visible light, the wound on his palm healed in the blink of an eye. He regained his usual indifference and followed Captain Zhang back to the camp. On the other side, after Wen Jiu and his friends decided on the military academy, they got up early in the morning and rushed to the hospital. Although Yu Rumen and Zhu Wangming were surprised by their choice, the two patriarchs did not want to interfere too much and only expressed their support for whatever the children did. So when Jiu and others immediately opened the light screen panel and sent emails to their exclusive contacts, the contact processed the email very quickly, and when they returned to Taoiao to prepare for business, they received a reply. Because when Jiu and Chu Jian were both directly admitted, their contacts quickly sorted out the information and reported to the upper level after receiving the email. Although it will take some time to go through the system process, their destinations are already determined. Both of them have obtained the quota directly. After completing the process, they can go through the formalities and then discuss the enrollment time. However, these steps are all later, and now we have to wait for the process to be completed. As for Stephanie, after she sent an email to the contact person, although she also had to follow the rules, her situation was different from Wen Jiu's. She obtained the qualification for the military academy examination, while Wen Jiu obtained the enrollment quota. That is to say, after the process of submitting the materials is completed, she still needs to take an online or offline exam. Only after passing it can she get the quota. But Stephanie is not worried, because she knows that she is very good, so she just waits for the process to be completed and the contact person to notify the exam time. On the contrary, Ziqingyu and Kaioshishi, who are still far away from the entrance examination, fell into a depressed state after sending the email. They only have priority admission. Before that, they have to fight for the competition, and then they can take the entrance examination. So both of them were very worried that they would not be able to get a place in the competition, and they would not even be eligible to take the entrance exam. Don't think too much. When school starts, you should train and study hard and strive to get the top 10 places in the student competition. It's okay as long as you enter the top 10, you don't have to get the first place. With your ability, it will definitely be no problem to enter the top 10, so don't be too stressed. I will cheer you up when the time comes. When Jiu patiently enlightened them, she was afraid that the two children would be depressed. Fortunately, Ziqingyu and Kaioshishi were both optimists, and they only worried for a moment before they recovered. After solving the problem of choosing a military school, everyone began to work hard for business. The number of customers coming to Taoiao is increasing day by day, which means that when Jiu has more and more star coins, She was as happy as if she had won the lottery just thinking about the numbers in her store network account. Teo Iao's physical store business is becoming more and more prosperous, and Teo Iao's online store has finally opened. The 4 shop assistants were prepared to be ignored, but they didn't expect that. As soon as they walked out of the store with the samples, many customers surrounded them and competed for the samples. Most of the customers came to Teo Iao to find out what was going on because of Sun Badao's recommendation. As a result, they were attracted by the samples brought by the shop assistants and rushed to grab the samples. Because it was just opened, Wen Jiu never thought that many customers would come to support it, so he only prepared 2 desserts, peach blossom crisps and mung bean cakes. The peach blossom crisps are exquisitely and realistically shaped, just like real peach blossoms, which attracted the attention of many customers. At first, many people thought that good-looking food might not be delicious. It was not until they tasted it that they realized how wrong they were. It is crispy on the outside and soft on the inside, and tastes sweet. The layers of crispy crust are amazing, and coupled with the soft and delicate red bean paste, the combination of various flavors explodes like fireworks on the tip of the tongue. The faint fragrance of peach blossoms blends with the sweet red bean paste to weave a beautiful dream of peach blossoms blooming in spring, making people feel as if they are wandering in a sea of flowers. Every customer who has tasted peach blossom pastry will come into the store and place an order to buy several boxes. The same is true for customers who have eaten mung bean cakes. Many of them buy 4 or 5 boxes in one order. If Wen Jiu had not reminded the clerk in advance that there was a purchase limit for placing an order, I'm afraid that the customers would buy 10 boxes in one order. There are even some customers who tried to place orders for dozens of boxes. You must know that when the 4 clerks learned about the purchase limit regulations, they also discussed privately whether their boss was too confident. Everyone knows that the catering industry has always been difficult to do, and almost no customers will buy a lot at a time. It was not until the guests swarmed in to place orders that they realized how smart their boss was. If there were no purchase limit rules, I'm afraid that the orders would be full. Yes, you don't have to be a waitress today. You just need to check the orders and pack the goods in the warehouse. After Wen Jiu learned that the online store's sales exceeded the target, she was so happy that she wanted to fly. She first got the sorted delivery note from the clerk and then began to patiently teach Hubaba how to check the order and pack the goods. Fortunately, Hubaba is really smart and willing to endure hardships. Since she knew her new job, she started to learn to read from Kaioshishi and Zikingaiu. Therefore, when Wen Jiu handed her the delivery note, she could understand it roughly without them teaching her. It's just that there are some characters that she doesn't recognize yet, but it doesn't matter. She can take it to Kaioshishi to ask. This is the second update for today. Thank you to every little angel for your support. 030. Chapter 852 Sour Cabbage Dumplings 1. Although Teo Iao's online store has received a large number of orders, Wen Jiu's beverage machine and bionic man have arrived, so she doesn't have to worry about the production problem at all. The beverage machine can automatically mix after entering the formula, and you only need to add the ingredients manually. The new bionic man is as good at housework and cooking as Miss Tao. Wen Jiu only asked Miss Tao to teach him a few times, and the new bionic man learned most of the recipes. She also gave the new bionic man a name, Tao Xiao. Unlike Miss Tao's mature and royal sister style, Tao Xiao is a bionic man with a cute style. Her tone of voice is very playful, which makes many customers like her. It's just that the appearance of bionic people has always been exquisite and beautiful, which can't help but cause misunderstandings among some customers. Boss, do you recruit people based on their appearance? Wen Jiu was stunned for a moment when she heard this question, and then she realized that the customer's ideas were off track. Although she is a real face control, she really doesn't choose employees based on their looks. She doesn't understand why all her friends have good looks. As for Hukiki and Hubaba, there is no ugly vixen. Add to that the 2 delicate looking bionic people, Miss Tao and Tao Xiao, and it is easy for customers to misunderstand that Teo Iao selects employees based on their looks. However, this misunderstanding did not cause any impact. Instead, it attracted a wave of customers who were obsessed with looks to come to Teoiao, making Wen Jiu's pockets bulging and smiling like a flower every day. As time passed, she almost forgot what Ming Yehan said, but she didn't expect to see the other party brought by Ziziu during business one day. It was a time when Teoiao closed the morning business, and they were preparing to clean up and make lunch. Wen Jiu just walked out of the warehouse with the ingredients she had picked, and saw two people in suits slowly walking in. Mr. Ming Ming. She put the basket she was carrying on the table. You actually came? I thought you were just joking. Hearing this, Ming Yehan just smiled slightly. Miss Wen, I'm a person who values promises. He looked at the smiling girl in front of him, and couldn't help feeling that the girl had changed a lot. He had met Wen Jiu once before when signing the contract. At that time, she was still thin and small, with an unhealthy sallow complexion. Although she had the cuteness that only little girls can have, she was not pretty. However, Wen Jiu has changed now. She is still a little thin, but looks much healthier than before. She has fair skin and rosy complexion, and has grown a little taller. And that face with a bright smile can already give a glimpse of her stunning appearance in the future. Although he thinks that with Wen Jiu's ability, it doesn't matter, even if he doesn't have good looks. But he thought that most little girls love beauty, and maybe Wen Jiu worked hard to change into this, so he took the initiative to compliment her. However, Wen Jiu looked confused. Are you Mr. Ming? Why are you so polite? When she heard Ming Yehan's compliments, she felt embarrassed and wanted to dig a hole in the ground to crawl into. I told you not to try to get close to me. Are you embarrassed now? Ziziu sat down to watch the fun. What delicious food are you going to make for lunch today, Wen Jiu? I haven't had the delicious food you made for a long time. His words seemed to be helping Ming Yehan out, but in fact, they showed how close he was to Wen Jiu. Hearing this, Wen Jiu answered while washing vegetables. I'll just cook some dumplings and stir fry some vegetables to get by. If you want to eat delicious food, pay for it first. She made some dumplings last night and brought them to the store, thinking that when she didn't know what to eat, she could just cook some dumplings to make do. She didn't expect that there would be guests coming at noon today, and they were brought directly by Ziziu, so she didn't even have to prepare anything. But even if Ziziu told her in advance, she wouldn't prepare a banquet for Ming Yehan. Just make do with what you have, because she wasn't a private chef hired by the two of them. Thinking of this, she became confident. Anyway, there are only dumplings and stir-fried seasonal vegetables. If you don't want to eat, go to another place. I want to eat. Of course I want to eat. Ziziu glanced at Ming Yehan while joking. Mr. Ming should be used to home-cooked dishes, right? Although he took the initiative to meet Ming Yehan, he still didn't like him very much. How could someone look as handsome as him in a suit? He even wore the same decorative glasses as him. The most important thing is that after a brief communication with Ming Yehan, he realized that the other party also did not rely on the family to work alone, and like him, he relied on himself to get to where he is today. Wearing the same clothes is something he can't stand. And having the same personality is something he can't stand even more. However, Ming Yehan had heard too much sarcasm and ridicule in the business world, so he just kept a calm expression and smiled and replied, my mother often cooks for me and my brother when she is at home, so I'm naturally used to the home cooked dishes that Mr. Z mentioned. By the way, does Wen Jiu need my help? My mother can also make dumplings, so I'm quite good at this. He cleverly turned the topic back to Wen Jiu, because he really didn't want to have an argument with Ziziu. As for whether his mother can make dumplings, only he and his brother know. If she can, he doesn't know whether square and diamond dumplings are dumplings. But if she can't, he can barely eat the dumplings after they are cooked by pinching his nose. In short, he doesn't want to savor it too much. You know, in addition to wanting to be a mecha master, his brother also has a small dream, which is that they hope their mother will never go into the kitchen again. Hearing this, Wen Jiu shook his head. No, you and brother you just sit and wait, but you have to follow the rules after eating. Clean up and clear the table. No one can have a meal here without working, unless the other party buys it with star coins. After she finished speaking, she asked Kiki to take out the frozen dumplings, and after the water boiled, she threw a bunch of them into the pot. Seeing this, Mingyan sat opposite Zizou. But when he saw that the other party was unwilling to take the initiative to talk, he turned his head and looked at the environment in the store. Although he looks gentle and easy to talk, he is actually arrogant. It doesn't matter if Zizou doesn't want to talk. Anyway, his target is only Wen Jiu. What the other party does has nothing to do with him, and he won't rush to please him. Taoiao's decoration is still very good, fresh and elegant, but not without characteristics. Just when he wanted to get up and go to the second floor to take a look, he suddenly smelled a strange sour fragrance. This fragrance was very unfamiliar to him, but it inexplicably aroused his appetite. Today's third update has also been delivered on time, thanks again to the little angels for their support and love. 030. Chapter 853 Sour Cabbage Dumplings 2. The dumplings are cooked. Come and get your bowls and chopsticks. Let's prepare for lunch. Wen Jiu scooped out the cooked dumplings with a colander. Because there were so many people eating lunch today, she asked Kiki to cook more dumplings. The white and plump dumplings were glowing light, and they were stacked on top of each other on the plate and steaming. The white mist drifted away, and the strong and overbearing sour fragrance filled the store, attracting everyone's hungry soul. As soon as she finished speaking, Zikingayu and others stopped their work and ran into the lounge to find their own bowls and chopsticks. Because everyone had to eat lunch at Taoiao every day, Kyoshi and Stephanie bought everyone exclusive beautiful bowls and chopsticks when they were shopping in the supermarket. Even the two foxes Kiki and Baba. Seeing that all the friends were sitting at the table waiting for dinner, Wen Jiu reminded them, "Find 2 sets of bowls and chopsticks for guests for Mr. Ming and Brother Yu. Do you want them to eat dumplings with their hands?" After that, Zikingayu stood up with a chuckle and found bowls and chopsticks for his brother and Ming Yan. But he did not forget to complain. When handing over the bowls and chopsticks, he whispered, "Brother, you don't have hands, right? You really think you are the boss? Get out of the way." Zizou glared at him with annoyance. "Can't you see I'm fighting a business war? You have to help me a little." Hearing this, he couldn't help but sneer. "Your business war is to see who can sit still? I suddenly feel that I can do it too." After he finished speaking, he hurried back to his table and sat down, fearing that Zizou would change back to his original form and beat him up on the spot. After Zikingayu left, Zizou couldn't help but cough a few times in embarrassment. "Ahem, my brother has a naughty temper, please don't be surprised." How could he have such a brother? Not only did he not help him suppress outsiders, but also made him lose face in front of outsiders. When he goes back to see his parents tonight, he must complain fiercely. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He felt that he was not only embarrassed, but also his soul was lost by Zikingayu. Fortunately, Ming Yan did not add insult to injury. Instead, the other party smiled sincerely. "Actually, my brother is the same. He is usually very naughty, and you can't wait to beat him up." Hearing this, Zizou regained his soul. "Is that right? It seems that all the brothers in the world deserve a beating." It turned out that he was not the only one who suffered from his brother's suffering. He suddenly felt that life was beautiful again. So he began to complain to Ming Yan, and also exchanged with him about how to educate his brother. It was not until when Jiu came over with 2 plates of dumplings that he closed his mouth and quickly stood up to take the plates handed over by the other party. The steaming dumplings were shaped like ingots, white and plump and very pleasing. Zizou had heard from Zikingayu a long time ago that the dumplings at window 18 were delicious. But he didn't know Wen Jiu at that time, so he put the matter behind him. It was not until he looked at the snow white dumplings in front of him that he suddenly remembered Zikingayu's words. "1 bite is full of soup, rich and fragrant, especially delicious." I hate myself for not buying 2 more plates at that time, because they were sold out when it was my turn later. How did I know that classmates' cooking was so delicious? Look, I'll find a way to get inside to find out her details. But I think her identity must be not simple. Maybe she is a lady from a noble family who hides her identity. Well, Zikingayu did successfully get inside, but the other party also got herself involved. Even his brother was packed up and sent to Wen Jiu for his use. As for Wen Jiu's identity, everyone knew that she was an orphan adopted by Yu Ruman, and there was no such thing as a lady from a noble family who hid her identity. Thinking of this, Ziziu picked up a dumpling with great anticipation, and the full sour and fragrant smell attracted his thousands of thoughts. For a moment, he felt that all the cells in his body were activated by this strange smell. He blew on the steaming dumplings first, and then bit them gently with anticipation. The thin and transparent dumpling skin cracked instantly, and a stream of delicious and fragrant soup flowed out. The strange sour fragrance lingered between his lips and teeth, and the rich meaty aroma of pork was wrapped in it, making him feel refreshed and hungry. Although he had never smelled such a fragrance, he was still attracted by it. At this moment, he only wanted to savor this strange and mysterious taste carefully. Although the sauerkraut was overbearing, it did not cover the fragrance of pork. The two were cleverly combined, and they complemented each other perfectly. Under the effect of the sour taste, his saliva continued to secrete, and his already extremely hungry stomach sent a signal to the brain at this time. Eat. Eat with big mouthfuls. Eat hard. So Ziziu stopped talking, and just kept eating. But his appearance was not uncommon, because Ming Yehan on the opposite side was the same, eating a sauerkraut dumpling in one mouthful. He had eaten 5 or 6 in a row, but he was still reluctant to stop. Even though the dumplings were still a little hot when he put them in his mouth, he was unwilling to stop tasting this delicacy. The hot dumplings exuded fragrance, and they were crispy, tender, and smooth when bitten, and hot soup splashed out. The sour aroma of sauerkraut and the meaty aroma of pork intertwined, forming an irresistible taste. But what surprised him most was the dumpling skin. This seemingly thin and transparent skin was quite tough. It didn't taste as soft and rotten as he imagined. Instead, it was chewy and more fragrant the more he ate, which was very enjoyable. Every time Ming Yehan eats a dumpling, he sighs in his heart. Wen Jiu's cooking skills are indeed unmatched. Fortunately, he decisively reached a cooperation with the other party at the beginning, otherwise he can only compete with the audience for tasting. How can he eat dumplings one by one like this? While eating, he suddenly had an idea. Little Wen Jiu, are you going to sell these dumplings? He tried his best to restrain the desire to continue eating. You should know that frozen foods are sold in every supermarket, right? I think your dumplings are very suitable for sailors' frozen foods. Hearing this, Wen Jiu swallowed the food in his mouth first, and then thought for a moment and replied, it can be sold, but does your factory have a production line for frozen foods? Of course there is, you can rest assured. The more he smelled the fragrance of dumplings, the more he couldn't stand it, so he finally gave up the so-called etiquette and accepted the reality of talking about things while eating. Waves of sour fragrance went straight to the top of his head, making him feel comfortable, as if he was floating in the clouds. Tasted carefully, the combination of tender pork and crispy pickled cabbage, the sour and salty taste is amazing. With such a unique and magical taste, he thinks that, if he launches the frozen food of pickled cabbage dumplings, it will definitely be sold out in major supermarkets. This is the first update of today, please check it out. Little Angels, Whisper. Today's update is 20,000 words. Let the little angels enjoy. IT equals W equals. And in the next week, there will be 4 updates every day. I sincerely thank every little angel for their support and love. Chapter 854 Yang Zigan Lu 1. After lunch, Ziziu had to go back to the company for a meeting, so he left first. Perhaps because he and Ming Yehan finally found a common topic, and both of them were poor people who had been harmed by their unlucky younger brothers. His hostility and defensiveness towards each other were reduced a lot. When he left, he even talked and laughed with Ming Yehan for a while, which made Ziqingyu shudder inexplicably. Banli, why do you look so worried? Kaioshishi just walked to the door to get a tray. Isn't your brother chatting well with brother Ming? Hearing this, Ziqingyu pretended to be calm and replied, what worries? I'm not. I'm just thinking that I'm going to work again soon. It must be tiring to go out to sell in such a hot day. He would never admit that he eavesdropped on the conversation between Ziziu and Ming Yehan, discussing how to have a cute younger brother who is both obedient and sensible. The latter's point of view is still good, first courtesy and then force, and if reason doesn't make sense, then use fists. But the former is a radical, He is not polite. What to do? If his brother is disobedient, just beat him up and that's it. Alas, how could he have such a hateful brother? However, Wen Jiu, who was busy, didn't know this. She was teaching Hukiki and Miss Tao to make new products. This tapioca pearls must be poured in, after boiling over high heat, then turn to low heat. Cover the pot and cook for about 15 minutes. You must open the lid every few minutes to stir, so that the tapioca pearls don't stick to the bottom. Although Tao Yao's Chunteo fresh milk tea and Sheoxian Ko are very popular, hundreds of cups can be sold every day, but she still wants to make a few more drinks. On the one hand, it is because many dessert shops have been imitating Chunteo fresh milk tea recently. Even if she is not afraid of others imitating, she has to admit that this phenomenon has indeed caused some impact on Tao Yao. After thinking about it, she thought that the best solution is to launch new products to attract customers. As long as she launches new products quickly enough, she doesn't have to worry about those shops imitating them. Well, if you have the ability, just keep imitating. See if she launches new products quickly, or they crack the formula quickly. On the other hand, some customers have been addicted to the fresh and sweet taste since they drank Chunteo fresh milk tea. For this reason, they come to buy several cups every day. If she hadn't issued a limit of 5 cups, I'm afraid these customers would drink milk tea as water. Customers come to buy and drink every day. Once the novelty disappears, they want to try new drinks. There is a suggestion box in Tao Iao store, and they cast small notes one after another, hoping that Tao Iao will launch new products as soon as possible. As the boss of Tao Iao, Wen Jiu naturally has to listen to opinions. Since the customers have given such opinions, she must find a way to satisfy everyone. So she thought of a dessert, which is the refreshing Yangtze Ganlu. When it is almost transparent and has a little white core, you can turn off the heat and simmer for about 15 minutes. After the tapioca pearls are completely transparent, rinse them with cold water several times, and then pour them into a bowl filled with cold water for later use. Because Hukiki and Miss Tao had never touched tapioca pearls before, she could only teach them how to cook tapioca pearls step by step. Xinguang Supermarket has a rich variety of products. At first, she thought there was no tapioca pearls for sale, after looking for a long time. Later, she asked a staff member to describe the general appearance, and then she found tapioca pearls in a corner. Although the location is a bit remote, fortunately she successfully bought it. Oh, can it be used after it is cooked like this? Hukiki was operating carefully according to what Wen Jiu said. After the words fell, the other party answered while cutting mangoes. Yes, you can mix coconut milk after it is cooked. When he heard this, he quickly put down the bowl of tapioca pearls and then turned around to mix coconut milk according to the recipe given by Wen Jiu. After a lot of hard work, a bowl of Yangtze Ganlu was finally made. Why one bowl? Because everyone signed up to taste the new product, so Wen Jiu just made one bowl to save trouble. If anyone wants to try it, just take a spoon and scoop a bowl. After all, it's a tasting, and the main purpose is to taste it and see how it tastes. Because Ming Yan is a guest from afar, Wen Jiu scooped a big bowl for him first. Seeing this, he hurriedly thanked him and took the bowl. The white coconut milk and the orange mango puree blended to create a pleasing milky yellow color. The mango pieces cut into squares showed little corners on the surface, and the water red grapefruit pulp was dotted in it. Add a piece of green mint with a faint fragrance, and this Yangtze Ganlu is exciting just by looking at it. Eat it directly? Ming Yan was a little at a loss with the bowl. Although he accepted the reality of talking while eating, he was more or less embarrassed to drink directly from the bowl. Hearing this, Wen Jiu took a disposable spoon from the bar and gave it to him. Brother, how come you don't have hands when you're so old? Sorry, I didn't notice it just now. He had been admiring this bowl of rough version of Yangtze Ganlu and didn't even remember that there was a disposable spoon on the bar. Why is it a rough version? Because according to Wen Jiu, if you sell Yangtze Ganlu to customers, you must carefully arrange it on the plate. You won't just make a pot like this, as if you are scooping soup in the cafeteria, and you can just take a bowl if you want to drink it. So he was admiring and thinking, this rough version is so beautiful, what would the refined version look like? Ming Yahan thought about it and scooped a spoonful into his mouth. The rich and fresh fruity aroma instantly filled his nose. Then there was a sweet coconut fragrance that directly occupied his taste buds, making him feel as if he was in a sea of coconuts. The thick and smooth mango puree was very delicate, without a single abrupt granular feeling. Paired with the refreshing coconut milk, the sweetness is accompanied by a hint of sourness, and it is so delicious. Scoop another spoonful of mango and grapefruit pulp soaked in it. The soft and smooth mango pulp is full of sweetness, and the plump grapefruit pulp is rich in juice. It is sour and sweet, and especially delicious. Because when Jiu was worried that the free pulp would taste bitter, she deliberately compared all varieties on the Star Network. In the end, she chose a grapefruit that was more expensive, but did not taste bitter. Therefore, Ming Yahan only tasted the sweet and sour taste of grapefruit, but did not taste the bitterness of ordinary grapefruit. He drank spoonful after spoonful, and tasted the soft and glutinous tapioca pearls. This softness is particularly obvious in the smooth juice, but it is not surprising. On the contrary, it adds a few layers to the taste of Yangtze Ganlu. He couldn't help but shout in his heart that these two are simply a perfect match. In just a few minutes, he drank a full bowl of Yangtze Ganlu clean. Second update 030. Chapter 855 Yangtze Ganlu 2. Ming Yahan wanted to drink another bowl of Yangtze Ganlu, but it was already Taoiao's business hours, so when Jiu drove him to the employee lounge. Fortunately, the other party gave him the remaining Yangtze Ganlu, so he sat in the employee lounge and started the afternoon tea session leisurely. But while he was enjoying the Yangtze Ganlu, he did not forget to take a photo and send it to Ming Jiu, who was far away in the imperial capital Star, so greedy that the other party sent several messages to him. Future star of the Interstellar, are you still my real brother? You said you were going on a business trip to a low-level planet, but you secretly went to Gongzi Farke, and now you are sending pictures to make me greedy. Your behavior is really too much. Star of the future, woo woo woo, brother, why don't you take me with you? I'm on vacation. How can you leave me to find Sister Fake? Star of the future, brother, how about I'll let the private spaceship take me to find you now? I also want to eat delicious food in the dessert shop opened by Sister Fake. Seeing this, Ming Yahan sent a message to reject Ming Jiu. Ming Zhang of Wuiao Food, Sister Fake said that Taoiao will open chain stores on various planets in the future, so you can eat it. After waiting for a while, I have already disturbed Sister Fake by coming here this time, and it would be even more inconvenient if I take you with me. Fortunately, the other party is not an unreasonable person. He only asked him to hand in the new products of Wuiao Food, and the matter was over. Ming Zhang of Wuiao Food, okay, you can contact Assistant Fang directly. After chatting with Ming Jiu for a while, Ming Yahan began to deal with work while drinking Yangtze Ganlu. He came here on a business trip, and since the peanut nougat had just been launched, there were many things he needed to handle personally, so even if he was here, he had to log into the Star Network every day to work. The sweet big mango and the slightly sour grapefruit pulp were crushed together, and the juice that burst out was both sweet and sour, which was particularly refreshing, and made his sleepiness disappear in an instant. The smooth mango puree mixed with the sweet coconut milk flowed into his mouth, and the sweet and mellow taste really made him unable to stop. Unconsciously, he finished the second bowl of Yangtze Ganlu. Ming Yahan was already a little full at this time. After all, he had eaten a lot of sauerkraut dumplings at noon. Now, with 2 large bowls of Yangtze Ganlu, it had already exceeded his usual meal intake. But he didn't know why, he still felt like eating. So after sitting and thinking for a while, he quietly pushed open the door of the employee lounge, thinking about queuing up to buy 2 boxes of desserts to try. However, he underestimated the customers' love for Taoiao. The entire first floor was filled with customers eating desserts, and there was a long line that seemed to have no end. Seeing this, he closed the door, as if nothing had happened. Forget it, he should wait until when Jiu got off work before going out. There was no rush to eat desserts. Anyway, he had a good relationship with Wen Jiu, so he could just buy 2 boxes of remaining desserts when the time came. Although Ming Yahan had never run a dessert shop, He knew that most restaurants would have a small amount of food left when they closed, so he was not worried at all that he would not be able to buy desserts. However, it turned out that he was very wrong. When the enthusiastic customers heard that there was a new product, they not only bought it themselves, but also brought their friends to buy it. Some customers even called their families to the scene. It was not an exaggeration to say that they brought their families to buy desserts. The mango sago prepared by Wen Jiu was sold out quickly, and the other desserts were also bought by customers. Even though Hukiki and Miss Tao were always making it on the spot, it was difficult to withstand the crazy customers. Anyway, by the time of closing, not to mention a dessert, even the ingredients were running out. When Ming Yehan came out of the staff lounge, he saw Wen Jiu talking to Zikingayu, who was in charge of purchasing. Remember to buy 3 boxes of ruby grapefruit tonight, and you can buy more mangoes at one time, but don't buy all the ripe ones. The red beans for making peach blossom cakes are almost used up, just buy double the amount. Hearing this, he couldn't help but ask curiously, don't you have an ingredient supplier? Why do you have to buy ingredients specifically? Well, I don't have one. Wen Jiu shrugged helplessly. She had thought about finding an ingredient supplier before, so that it would be easier to purchase goods after reaching a cooperation, and the price of the goods would be lower. In short, the cost is lower, and she can earn more star coins. But she didn't have time to look for it before, and then she learned about the existence of the Jade Rabbit clan from Fox Baba. So she put this matter on hold for the time being, thinking about getting in touch with the Jade Rabbit clan first. It is easier to negotiate business with monsters than with people. Besides, Baba said that the Jade Rabbit clan is particularly good at farming. The vegetables and fruits grown not only contain spiritual energy, but also taste better than ordinary ingredients. The 2 points mentioned by the other party made her very excited, so she was no longer in a hurry to find suppliers. I know a few suppliers with stable supply. Ming Yehan runs a food factory, so he naturally knows a lot of food suppliers. If you need, I can introduce you. Hearing this, Wen Jiu just smiled and shook his head. No, I have my own arrangements. After she finished speaking, she arranged for Zikingayu to continue counting the ingredients to be replenished. Seeing this, Ming Yehan, who was standing aside, sat down obediently on the chair. He originally wanted to buy a few boxes of leftover desserts, but he didn't know that these customers didn't even leave a dregs. So he could only wait until Wen Jiu was done and expressed his demands to the other party. Do you want to eat it yourself, or send it to your family? Wen Jiu estimated that everyone had finished work, so she sent a message to Ziziu. After saying that, Ming Yehan thought for a moment before speaking. To be honest, I really want to eat it myself, and I also want to send it to my family. Then let's do this. You give the delivery address to Baba, she replied while saying, I'll get you 2 boxes tomorrow to taste the taste. If you think it's good, I'll ask her to send a few boxes to your home. After hearing this, the other party agreed very satisfiedly and transferred a sum of star coins to her on the spot, saying that it was a prepayment for buying desserts. She didn't refuse much. Anyway, everyone was an acquaintance, and there was no need to push it back and forth. When everyone was done, Ziziu also waited outside with the driver. In order to get a meal every morning and evening, he shamelessly paid Wen Jiu's accommodation fee and successfully moved into the other party's villa in Zishan district. Anyway, Wen Jiu's villa has 4 floors, so he is not afraid of having one more person living in it. But since he moved in, he has won the position of driver and has to pick up and drop off these children to and from get off work every day. The third UPDATE equals W equals. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 856 Mushroom, Water Chestnut and Meat Dumplings 1. The group was divided into 2 teams, each sitting in a hovercraft. Summer nights always come slowly. When they arrived at the villa, the sky was still shimmering with purple sunset glow. The beautiful sunset glow shone on the water, and the ripples looked very beautiful. The flowers by the pool were blooming brightly, and the green grass was swaying when the wind blew. There were also 2 snow white foxes jumping around in it, which was really a beautiful picture that made people intoxicated. Your yard is quite unique. Ming Yahan liked this ancient Chinese style very much. I wonder which designer's masterpiece is it? He added here, I have seen similar designs before, which are also a combination of ancient Chinese style and minimalist style. Such a collision is rare. Although the manor, where their Ming family lived, was in ancient European style, he personally liked the style of ancient China more. Ancient charm and fragrance, quite artistic conception. Especially when he saw the 2 foxes, he suddenly felt like he was in a fairyland. The water and trees are clear and the flowers are blooming everywhere, and there are small animals playing in them. It is really a pleasure for the body and mind. Hearing this, Wen Jiu handed over a cup of green tea first, and then replied softly, to be honest with you, I don't know either. Because this villa is a finished product that I bought, and an old grandfather sold it to me. How could she know who the designer of this villa was? She just thought the environment was good and the decoration was okay. In addition, Mr. Miu was willing to sell it to her at a low price, which made her buy it very happily. As for designers, she really didn't know about them. I see, I wanted you to introduce a designer to me. Ming Yahan sighed with some regret. He really liked the design of Wen Jiu's house, but it was a pity that the other party bought it from someone else. In fact, he knew a designer who was good at designing ancient Chinese style, but the other party was his grandfather's mortal enemy who had fought for most of his life. Even if he had 100 courage, he would not dare to go to the other party. Thinking of this, he simply changed the subject. By the way, do you have any ideas about the convenience food I talked to you about before? Hearing this, Wen Jiu followed the topic and said, I think the quick frozen dumplings you proposed at noon are very good, but the taste of sauerkraut and pork filling is not acceptable to everyone, so I think we can first launch 2 popular flavors. One of them is one I made before. It was sold in the cafeteria and also broadcast on live tasting. I think everyone's response is quite good. They should like this flavor very much. As soon as she finished speaking, Ming Yahan asked curiously, which 2 flavors? It can't be celery, fish, and bear melon, right? Let me ask, how did you come up with such a dark combination? She knew that bear melon was zucchini, but she had never eaten dumplings stuffed with celery, fish, and bear melon. Excuse me, can a person come up with such a combination? The other party smiled helplessly when she heard this. My mother has an inexplicable obsession with cooking. She likes to study cooking in her spare time, especially various nutritional combinations. She thinks such a combination is the most nourishing. Well, this wave of love comes from her mother. It is really inconvenient for her to comment. So she changed the subject very calmly. It just so happens that there are dumplings in the refrigerator. Why don't I cook a few for you to try? If you think the taste is good, let's make these 2 first. When Wen Jiu took Ukiki to make dumplings last night, in addition to the sauerkraut dumplings she wanted to eat, she also made mushrooms, water chestnuts, fresh meat dumplings, and 3 fresh dumplings that she never got tired of. After Ming Yahan nodded in agreement, she asked the other party to go back to the living room first. Are you still playing? Time to work. She turned her head and glanced at Fox Kiki who was catching butterflies in the flowers. Luckily you 2 knew to hide and transform, otherwise I would really force you to become human. The main reason is that Fox Kiki and Fox Baba are both from the Arctic, and the 2 little foxes dream of rolling around in the grass and flowers. Since they moved to the villa, the 2 little foxes would transform back to their original form every night and play in the back garden for a long time. As soon as the voice fell, Fox Kiki immediately transformed into a human form, and Fox Baba beside him also transformed. Seeing this, Wen Jiu turned and walked towards the living room. Put the hot water in the pot and scoop it up when it boils. Plates of steaming dumplings were soon placed on the wooden table. The greedy cats smelled the fragrance and walked out of their rooms. Sister Jiu, why are we eating dumplings again tonight? Zikingayu sat down with his bowl and chopsticks. When he saw Wen Jiu's deathly gaze, he turned his head away and pretended nothing happened. How do you know that I love dumplings the most? Don't always do things that please me. I'll be embarrassed. How could he dare to say that he didn't want to eat dumplings for 2 meals in a row? He could only change his style to save his life. Fortunately, Wen Jiu didn't always make the same flavor, so he wouldn't get tired of eating it for a few more meals. For example, he ate more than 30 of the new sauerkraut pork filling made by the other party at noon today, and he didn't put down his chopsticks until his stomach was full. Seeing this, Ziziu, who was sitting next to him, sneered, "Little brother, you should read more books when you have free time. I think that book The Art of Speaking is especially suitable for you to read repeatedly." "Oh, is it the one you recite day and night?" Zikingayu blew the hot air from the dumplings and cast a provocative look at him. "It is said that the disciple is better than the master, so I'm naturally smarter than you. You should keep this book and recite it well." The two brothers were arguing with each other. Seeing that the others were eating quietly, Mingyan stopped wanting to persuade them to stop fighting. There was nothing to persuade them to stop. Sometimes he would argue with his brother, but this did not affect their good relationship. Thinking of this, he imitated Wen Jiu and took a dumpling and dipped it in the dipping dish. The bright red chili oil immediately stained the snow-white dumplings. Just looking at this scene made people salivate. With another light bite, the fresh and fragrant soup mixed with the spicy fragrance of chili peppers hit his soul with a domineering attitude. Although he had eaten spicy dishes before, the spiciness made him feel uncomfortable, and his stomach was burning every time he ate. But the chili oil specially made by Wen Jiu was spicy and fragrant. No matter how much he ate, he would not feel uncomfortable, and could only taste the refreshing feeling of the spiciness. After eating a few dumplings covered with chili oil, he was so spicy that a thin layer of sweat appeared on his forehead. But he did not feel uncomfortable and wanted to stop eating. Instead, he felt a refreshing feeling. This novel experience was the first time for him. Chapter 857 Corn Shrimp Cake 1. The strong spicy flavor makes the meat filling taste more delicious. The hand-chopped meat filling is rich in gelatin, and it tastes soft and delicate without losing its toughness. The water chestnuts mixed in it are refreshing and sweet, and there are also delicious mushrooms. A variety of ingredients are combined together to form a perfect feast. One bite is not only rich in taste, but also layer by layer of flavor. The more Mingyan eats, the more he feels satisfied. At first, he thought that such a combination of ingredients was a bit strange, but when he really tasted it, he realized that he really knew nothing about Wen Jiu's cooking. Sure enough, he can always believe in Wen Jiu's cooking. After tasting the mushroom and water chestnut fresh meat dumplings, he picked up a 3 fresh vegetarian dumpling under the strong recommendation of Kao Shishi. The leek is fragrant, the eggs are soft and delicious, and the mushrooms are delicious. One after another, the umami bombs exploded in his mouth, making him feel as if he was floating in the clouds. He finally understood why this type of dumpling is called 3 fresh dumplings. The combination of 3 ingredients makes it more delicious. This is a unique delicacy that is no less delicious than meat dumplings. At the end of the meal, he didn't know how to evaluate it. He wanted to quickly launch these 2 types of dumplings so that everyone could come to this delicious feast. Then I'll send you the recipe first. I don't know much about frozen food. We may have to make it while we're at it. Mingyan quickly asked Wen Jiu for the recipe as soon as he recovered. It can be seen that he is very confident about these 2 types of dumplings. On the contrary, Wen Jiu is not very confident because she doesn't know much about frozen food. She is worried that the taste of the factory-made dumplings will be different from her handmade ones. After all, she has never eaten delicious frozen dumplings in modern times. After that, Mingyan said in a very gentle tone, "I think I should know what you are worried about. I will try my best to restore the dumplings you made. I won't say that the taste will be 100% the same, but at least 90% similar. After the factory makes the sample, I will still send you a copy. And I can assure you that I will only give orders to the factory if you decide that it can be produced. If you think the sample is not good, or if you think the technology is not up to standard and want to give up, I will listen to your choice." It must be said that his words were quite sincere. Even Ziziu, who had heard too many nice words, had the idea of cooperating with him after listening to it. But he did not deceive Wen Jiu with sweet words. These words were all spoken from his heart. I don't mean to disbelieve you. The other party showed a rare shyness. I'm just a little worried that the taste can't be restored, which will disappoint the fans who like me. Hearing this, Ming Yahan breathed a sigh of relief. Don't worry, I will keep an eye on the factory. If there are any problems, I will find you first. Wen Jiu heard this, and the big stone in his heart fell to the ground. Okay, seeing that you are so sincere, I will give you another shrimp cake recipe. She thought about it when she was cooking dumplings just now. If the taste of the quick frozen dumplings is not satisfactory, then she will give Ming Yahan a different recipe. As she spoke, she took out a few round things from the freezer of the refrigerator. This is corn shrimp cake, you try it first, she said while turning on the fire to heat the oil. If the taste of the quick frozen dumplings is not restored enough, then you can try to make this corn shrimp cake. The corn shrimp cake quickly turned from grey to red and white under the hot oil. An alluring and delicious smell filled the living room, making everyone who had already eaten their fill feel hungry again. However, Wen Jiu thought that everyone had already had dinner, so she only fried 10 corn shrimp cakes, thinking that everyone could have one to taste. Come and try it, I made it before, and froze it in the refrigerator. She poured the fried shrimp cakes into the plate. If I hadn't been cooking dumplings just now, I would have forgotten about it. The main reason was that she taught Ukiki to cook at home whenever she had time, and she froze a lot of semi-finished products in the refrigerator. She was usually very busy, so she didn't have time to remember these little things. So after a while, she forgot about it. It was not until she talked about quick frozen dumplings with Ming Yahan just now that she remembered that there were corn shrimp cakes in the refrigerator. Hearing this, Zikingayu started to ask for a fight again. Sister Jiu, why didn't you say it earlier so that I could save some food? But just as he finished speaking, Kaioshishi took the shrimp cake in front of him. Before he could react, the other party stuffed it into his mouth. If you don't have stomach to eat, forget it. Kaioshishi chewed with her chin raised. You are always so talkative and troublesome. Seeing this, he was so angry that he choked. He just said it casually, not really unable to eat. He saw that there was still a shrimp cake on the plate in front of Kaioshishi, so he wanted to take it away when the other party was not paying attention, so that he would still have shrimp cake to eat. Kaioshishi's reaction was very quick, and she directly picked up the plate and sat aside. The steaming shrimp cake was extremely delicious, and it was so delicious that you couldn't help yourself. Wen Jiu first chopped some shrimp into a paste, and then mixed it with plump corn kernels, and also added chives, carrots and other ingredients. After the mixing was completed, the whole shrimp was finally put on and gently pressed into a cake. It can be said that each round shrimp cake has a very thick portion. So when everyone present ate the shrimp cake, they would sigh in their hearts that it was full. When they bit into the crispy shrimp cakes, the crispy skin with a burnt aroma was broken by their teeth, and drops of soup splashed in their mouths instantly. However, the aroma of the shrimp cakes was not as overbearing as the sauerkraut dumplings. It was softer in comparison, blending into the taste buds like a spring rain that moistens everything silently. When I first tasted it, I only felt that this corn shrimp cake was sweet and delicious. When I came to my senses, every cell was invaded by the fresh and fragrant breath. The fresh and fragrant smell of shrimp spread on the tip of the tongue, and at the same time there was the fresh and sweet smell of corn. The layers of fragrance were like waves, constantly attacking them. Woo woo woo, Sister Jiu, can you fry another one for me? Seeing that everyone had eaten the delicious shrimp cakes, only he missed the opportunity to taste it because he talked too much. He suddenly had the urge to cry. Fortunately, Wen Jiu had fried an extra shrimp cake, and the other party stuffed that one into his mouth, which made him feel the delicious smell of the shrimp cake. As the taste of the shrimp cakes wafted through his mouth, the grievances in his heart were also soothed. Chapter 858 Preparations before the trip 1. Ming Yahan didn't stay with Wen Jiu for too long. On the one hand, he came here on the pretext of a business trip, and it was not convenient for him to stay on planet 3047 all the time. On the other hand, he wanted to rush back to study frozen foods. So he communicated with Wen Jiu about what needed to be communicated, and successfully persuaded Ziziu, a difficult person. Finally, after completing his personal investment in TOIAO and signing the equity division agreement of TOIAO, he left on a private interstellar spaceship. He originally wanted to take the recipe of chili oil with him, but Wen Jiu said that he wanted to adjust the proportion of the seasoning, so he temporarily gave up this idea. Anyway, he was not in a hurry, and the dumplings made by the other party tasted great even without chili oil. After Ming Yehan left, Wen Jiu began to prepare to go to Hukika's hometown. Zizio had arranged the interstellar spaceship and the pilot for her, and the other party even helped prepare things that might be used for the voyage. For example, nutrient solution, common medicine, positioning bracelet, etc. Even to laser guns that are difficult for ordinary people to get are prepared. It can be said that she has considered it very carefully. However, she still went to Cynthia's studio with Stephanie because no one knew what would happen on the way, so she wanted to prepare more things just in case. She first mobilized her spiritual power to draw many talismans, and then borrowed Cynthia's studio to make some things. First, the golden whip that she had always been thinking about. Seeing that Cynthia had left a lot of materials, she disassembled the golden whip and used those materials to reassemble a new whip that was easier to use and more powerful than before. Then she also made a long sword and put it in the wisdom ring space as a backup weapon. Although people in this era prefer to use firearms, she still has a special liking for these cold weapons. Because Cynthia left a message for Stephanie saying that the weapons in the armory can be taken at will, so when Jiu asked Chu Jian to choose, "I've chosen. Why are you still making things?" Chu Jian stayed in the armory for a long time, and only now did he choose the weapons he liked. A heavy sniper rifle, a portable pistol. He wanted to take them out to show Wen Jiu, but when he turned around, he saw that the other party was hammering and banging again, and dazzling sparks burst from time to time. "Aren't your weapons ready? What are you doing now?" He put on a protective mask and then walked to Wen Jiu's side. After the words fell, the other party answered while carving carefully with tools. "This is a return gift to Xiao Bingshan." He sneered when he heard this. "You are so good to him. Silk silver is not cheap. It cost a lot of star coins to buy this raw material, right?" Alas, it cost a lot. Wen Jiu felt painful when he thought of the number, but there is no way. People gave me gifts. I can't just take it for free. If Lu Yan gave her a gift that can be bought on the market, it would be fine. She could buy a return gift of the same price at the Star Network supermarket or the gold panning shop. But the problem is that the wisdom ring Lu Yan gave was a limited edition, and the starlight was made by him personally, so she naturally couldn't just buy a gift to fool him. So when Stephanie said she could borrow the studio, she thought it would be better to make something by herself as a return gift. But she felt that Lu Yan seemed to have everything, so after thinking about it, she decided to make a pair of earrings for him as a gift. It is not easy to make earrings by yourself, and she also bought the best silver thread materials and high-grade gems produced by Milestar. In terms of the intention, she has done a good job. TSK, why don't you give us a gift? Chu Jian's pair of purple eyes seemed to smile, making it difficult to see what he was thinking. Seeing this, Wen Jiu continued to carve carefully. "Don't make trouble, you didn't give me a gift. Besides, am I not good to you usually?" She has completed most of the steps. Next, she only needs to carve out the pattern, inlay the blue gem she has chosen, and finally polish it a few times. Forget it. Every time we talk about little icebergs, you always scold me. Chu Jian started to play the sarcastic play again. Anyway, you have other brothers who are better at chatting and making you happy than me. It's me who is not worthy of you. She rolled her eyes when she heard this. Yes. If you say so, then so be it. In the past, she would still argue with Chu Jian for a few words, but now she has become accustomed to his sour words. And she found that the best way to deal with sarcastic words is not to retort, but to respond with an indifferent attitude. So she no longer cared about Chu Jian's sarcastic words, and only concentrated on carving the rose pattern. Seeing that she did not argue, the other party gave up the idea of teasing, turned around and found a place to sit and wait. It was not until the electronic clock jumped to 8 o'clock in the evening that Wen Jiu finally finished making the earrings. Brother Harry, go and call Nini home. She first put the earrings into the box and then put them into the wisdom ring space before starting to tidy up the table. After all, the studio was kindly lent to her by Cynthia, so of course she had to keep it clean. You can't just make a mess and wait for her to come back to clean it up. When Chu Jian called Stephanie, who was in the lounge, when Jiu had also cleaned the studio. She also put all the tools back to their original positions, making it clean and tidy as if they had never been there. Little Jiu, are you really not going to consider taking me with you? Sitting on the floating bus on the way back, Stephanie kept leaning on Wen Jiu's shoulder, trying to persuade him by acting coquettishly. She had no objection to Wen Jiu's plan until Zikingai reminded her 2 days ago. We don't know when Sister Jiu will be back after she leaves. If we miss her in the future, we can only make a video call. When she thought that Wen Jiu's departure was equivalent to her having no friends to play with, she suddenly didn't want him to leave. After saying that, Wen Jiu refused with a serious face. Didn't we agree before that you would stay at home? And you also promised to help me take care of Teo Iao, but you are the acting deputy store manager I chose. Considering that Zikingai and Kyoshi were about to start school, she gave the position of acting deputy store manager to Stephanie. Anyway, Zizu arranged people to help take care of the store, and Zikingai and Kyoshi would go to Teo Iao on weekends, so she didn't have to worry about Stephanie causing any trouble. But if she left, Teo Iao's development plan would have to be put on hold, and she couldn't accompany Uruman. So she had to deal with the problem as soon as possible and try to return to planet 3047 as soon as possible. Chapter 859 Greetings from Distant Friends 1. After arriving home, Wen Jiu had dinner with his friends first, and then he lay on a recliner in the back garden and was in a daze. It is commonly known as feeling sleepy after a full meal. The stars were twinkling and the breeze was blowing. Occasionally, there was a faint scent of flowers wafting, which made people feel happy just by smelling it. Kyoshi and Zikingai each occupied a swing seat and were noisily competing to see who could swing higher. And Stephanie was not far away from them, patiently teaching Hukiki to identify herbs. Looking a little further away, at the edge of the small pond, there was a tall figure sitting. It was Chu Jian, who was trying to catch a koi as a prize. In fact, the other party didn't know how to fish at all, but he had to sit there to catch koi for the sake of face. If Hukiki hadn't planted a lot of mosquito repellent herbs in the garden, I'm afraid Chu Jian would be bitten all over after sitting there for a while. As for Hubaba, he was sitting on the grass holding half a large watermelon, savoring it carefully while laughing at Hukiki. You can't even tell the obvious difference. I advise you to give up and don't waste Nina's time. Bing, you know nothing. If you have the ability, come and learn. The noises of the two little foxes rose and fell, interweaving with the exclamations of Kyoshi and Zikingai, making the quiet summer night lively. Seeing this, Wen Jiu relaxed on the recliner with a comfortable smile. She liked this leisurely life with friends. If possible, she really hoped to live like this peacefully. But there was no way. Her life trajectory seemed to be pushed by someone behind the scenes. She thought that the 3rd military region and the 5th military region had been cleared out, and she could come back to make money and live a good life after her great revenge. But she didn't expect that her and Chu Jian's changes would worsen together, which directly disrupted her originally planned beautiful future. This matter also made Zhu Wangming and Yu Ruman extremely worried, but the two tried their best and got a lot of medicine, but they still couldn't change the fact that the mutation was getting worse, and they couldn't even slow down the speed of the mutation. Fortunately, she found that spiritual power could affect the mutation, which saved her and Chu Jian from turning into speechless animals during this period. It's just that there is no spiritual energy on planet 3047, which means that every time she consumes spiritual power, it takes a long time to recover. So she had to advance the matter of going to Hukiki's hometown, so as not to delay it and let her and Chu Jian die. She originally wanted to wait until Uruman's body recovered and then go to Hukiki's hometown to see if she could find her cultivation. Although strength growth is important, Uruman is also very important to her. It's a pity that everything is not always as expected. Seeing that there are only a few days left before the departure, and she doesn't know what will happen during this journey, she only hopes to arrive at the destination safely and smoothly, and come back safely and smoothly, after solving the problem. Just when Wen Jiu was lost in thought, a thick dark cloud suddenly floated over, blocking the full moon hanging high in the sky. Seeing this, she shouted to her noisy friends, "Go back, it's going to rain soon." As soon as the voice fell, everyone stopped making noise and swarmed to the main hall. Although it was already past 11 o'clock, no one felt sleepy. So Zikingayu pulled Kyoshishi and Chujayan to play a holographic game, while Stephanie continued to teach the two little foxes around her to identify herbs. Seeing this, Wen Jiu simply lay down on the sofa and then turned on the light curtain panel, thinking about interacting with the money fans. However, as soon as she turned on the light curtain panel, she received a message from Luoyi. "Dawn is coming. Thank you for the sheep doll you sent me. I like it very much. I also got a fox fur ball. Thank you very much. Dawn is coming. By the way, I think the sheep doll's fur seems to be mixed with some fox fur. I want to ask if I'm seeing things wrong. Oh, isn't this the prince who is so rich that he uses gold to exchange for fur balls?" She was cheered up when she saw the news, because in her eyes, the other party is equivalent to Aurora Gold. Is there really someone who doesn't love gold or money? There's no need to be so polite between us friends. If you want a fur ball in the future, just tell me, and I'll send it to you. The sheep doll is made of wool felt by me. I thought you liked fox fur, so I mixed a small part of it in. I didn't expect you to be able to tell. Wen Jiu originally wanted to make it all with fox fur, but it would be inconvenient to shape it in this way. So she mixed wool and fox fur to make a cute little sheep doll. Anyway, now in addition to Hukiki, there is also Hubaba who can provide fox fur, so she doesn't have to worry about not having enough fur. The dawn is coming, I see. Thank you for your thoughtfulness. Because Luoyi was born into a royal family, his etiquette and upbringing are quite good. The dawn is coming. I have a question for you, but I don't know if it's convenient for you to answer it. Seeing this, Wen Jiu raised her eyebrows with interest. She was very curious about the son of this local tyrant, and wondered if he had any questions to ask her. To be honest, she actually wanted to ask the other party's father. What does it feel like to have a fortune? What is it like to own a planet? It's just that she and Luoyi are not familiar with each other. At most they are just friends, so she didn't dare to ask this. Jiu is rich. Tell me what the problem is first. No privacy related information. Jiu is rich. Also, don't say you want to visit my native planet. I'm going to go out on a trip with my friends soon. If you come over, I'm sorry I can't receive you. At this time, Luoyi, who was far away on the Dawn Star, couldn't help but chuckle after seeing the message sent by Wen Jiu. Seeing this, Huo Zion, who was sitting opposite, complained with disdain. Didn't I ask you to inquire about the information? Why are you laughing like this? It's disgusting. Hearing this, he immediately returned to his indifferent look. I'm asking, don't worry. He and Huo Zion received an email from the federal headquarters early in the morning, but they had never decided which military academy to apply for. They were treated the same as Stephanie. After choosing a military academy, they needed to take an exam, and could only be admitted if their scores met the requirements. TSK, hurry up, I have to go back in a few days. Huo Zion lazily leaned on the chair and crossed his legs. I don't know whether number 9 and the others chose the military academy. Anyway, I don't want to be with them. After the voice fell, Luoyi shook his head helplessly. You obviously want to be classmates with them, so you ask me to find number 9 to get information. People can't always deny their own hearts, otherwise you will leave a lot of regrets. Although he and Huo Zion met at the seedling base, the tacit understanding between the two is like that of brothers. So when the other party said that ironic thing, he immediately understood it. Chapter 860 Greetings from distant friends to Sister Jiu, come and play with us. Zikingayu was panting with sweat dripping down her face. This new holographic game is really fun. It's so exciting to play an adventure game in a team competition mode. As soon as he finished speaking, Kyoshi beside him also said, yes, the holographic adventure games I played before were all single player. I thought it was interesting at the beginning, but I found it particularly boring after playing for a long time. But this adventure game actually has team competition. It's really super fun for the 3 of us to play together. Jiu, do you want to join us? This team can have up to 5 people. Let's get together first. If we don't have enough, we can match one more person, so that we can play a 5-on-5 dungeon. Chujian wanted to ask Wen Jiu to play together, but when he saw that the 2 children were so enthusiastic, he felt that there was no need for him to speak. So he stood aside quietly, thinking about which dungeon to play next. Hearing this, Wen Jiu, who was replying to messages, said, I will play a game with you after I reply to the little prince's message. He wants to know which military academy we have applied for, and I'm trying to get his and Zhao Huishan's ideas. This wave is an extreme tug-of-war. Luoyi wants to know which military academy they are going to apply for, and she wants to know where the other party and Zhao Huishan are going to go. Jiu Yao Chuan Wangun, we are indeed together now, but our respective development directions are different. If we go to military academies, we will probably have to separate. Jiu Yao Chuan Wangun, you and Zhao Huishan should be the commander department and the armed mecha department, right? I think you are quite suitable to go to Air's military academy. By the way, Ahij also wants to apply for Air's. Who knows, you can be his classmates. Who is brother Hedy? Huo Xianan looked at the screen panel in confusion. Why did she learn from number 10 to call me little volcano? She really didn't learn good things, but had to learn bad things. Hearing this, Luoyi explained helplessly, brother Hedy is number 1 who airborne at that time, the one who almost knocked you out when we were on the spaceship together before. Didn't that little chestnut call you like this every day? And I don't think number 9 has learned bad things, because she doesn't know your name at all, so she can only call you by the name given by number 10. He explained like this for a long time, and Huo Xianan beside him felt more and more that something was wrong the more he listened. Just when he wanted to continue, the other party suddenly interrupted him. Little prince, you are not going to play the Cinderella story, are you? Huo Xianan raised his eyebrows with a smile. TSK, 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 what is this called? Falling in love for the first time. As soon as he finished speaking, Luoyi's expression changed immediately, and he said in a very serious tone, Huo Xianan, don't make such jokes in the future. I just admire number 9 very much. It's not an ordinary love between a man and a woman. Besides, she is not very old now. It's time for her to grow up well. I don't want to disturb her at this stage. Hearing this, he just crossed his arms and looked like he was watching a good show. Okay, I know. But with your frowning face pretending to be mature all day long, I don't think you are the type that a little girl would like, so it's best to forget it. He suddenly felt that there was a saying that was very true, that is, those who are involved are confused, while those who are watching can see clearly. He and Luoyi are both young boys, and they are in the period of falling in love for the first time. But he has no interest in love, he just wants to be the strongest armed mecha soldier. And Luoyi was like this before, he just wanted to be a good commander. As for now, it's hard to say, but he was still very confident in Luoyi. Even if the other party had a little deviation, it would not affect the final result. Because Luoyi is a person who will keep moving towards the goal once he has a goal. All emotions will not become a hindrance, and all obstacles will be cleared by the other party. Thinking of this, he joked again, you are the most outstanding prince of the Russo royal family. There will be many girls who will fall for you in the future, so don't focus on love. Don't forget, our goal is to conquer the stars forever. Luoyi was about to refute him when he heard the message prompt. So the two of them stopped arguing temporarily and looked back at the light screen panel. Jiu Yao Chen Wangun, okay, I know, you want to apply for Air's military academy. If there is nothing else, I will log off. I still have to play games with my friends. Seeing this, Huo Xianan couldn't help but frowned in confusion. How did she know that we were going to apply for Air's military academy? Did you tell her? Although they haven't made a decision yet, For the two of them, the best choice is Air's Military Academy. Therefore, the two of them thought that, if they really couldn't choose, they would just go to the most suitable Air's Military Academy. But the problem is, that they haven't made up their minds yet. How did number 9 know their ideas? She analyzed it. Luoyi looked back at the chat, record with a serious expression. Look at this one. You just disturbed my thinking, and caused me to reveal my true thoughts. As soon as he finished speaking, Huo Xianan snorted coldly and came over. Didn't you say anything? Her analysis is a mess. Sometimes it's really hard for me to evaluate your mind. He pointed to the light screen panel helplessly. Take a closer look, and think about it seriously. Dawn is coming. We have thought about applying to Air's Military Academy, but the training mode of this military academy is very strict, and field survival training is required every month. So we have temporarily given up this idea. Huo Xianan read this message over and over again, but he couldn't figure out how number 9 analyzed it. It was not until Luoyi couldn't stand his questioning that the other party told him the general idea. Think about it. If we don't plan to apply for Air's Military Academy, why should we know about the situation of Air's Military Academy? Hearing this, he rolled his eyes speechlessly. Before going to the next military academy, isn't it the most basic to understand the situation of the military academy? But the problem is that in the chat between me and number 9, the situation of Air's Military Academy was described in the most detail. So she can figure out with a little thought that the military academy we want to apply for the most is Air's. After Luoyi finished speaking, he went back to look at the chat history. Seeing this, Huo Xianan was even more speechless, because he really didn't understand. Isn't this just a very ordinary question and answer chat? He almost read that sentence to pieces, and didn't understand Luoyi and no 9's thinking. He simply collapsed on the chair, and continued to be in a daze. Anyway, he wanted to be an armed mecha soldier, and he would just listen to the commander's orders in the future, so there was no need to use his brain to sparks. Thinking of this, he took out the holographic gaming helmet from the wisdom ring space and said, "Little prince, stop reviewing the game. Come and play games with me." Chapter 861 Holographic Game 1. Wen Jiu, on the other side, saw that Luoyi was slow to reply, and knew that her trick was most likely to succeed. In fact, she just made a rough guess, thinking that with the development direction of Luoyi and Zhao Huishan, the most likely military academy to go to is Air's. In addition, when talking about the 5 major military academies, Luoyi knew the Air's Military Academy the best, which made her confirm her guess. So she directly said something, wanting to see Luoyi's reaction. But the other party didn't reply, obviously being poked by her. Alas, she was the smartest one. The little prince and Zhao Huishan are most likely to go to Air's, and it seems that they will not meet us. Wen Jiu said, closing the light screen panel. Aren't you going to play the holographic game? Have you decided which copy to play? Although she had never played the holographic game with Zikingayu and others, she had just listened to the other party explaining the rules of the game to Stephanie, and basically understood it clearly. Holographic games are a form of game that reflects brainwaves into the system through game helmets or game cabins. It is similar to the Star Network world. Brother Hedy just picked a copy of a campus ghost story. I looked at the background introduction, and it is quite good. Kaioshishi said excitedly. You can tell at a glance that it is a very scary copy. Zikingayu must be scared to death. Hearing this, Zikingayu, who was holding a holographic game helmet, replied stubbornly, "What?" That was clearly a normal reaction. Who doesn't scream when seeing something scary? Besides, weren't you also scared to death by a female ghost just now? Wen Jiu became interested when she heard about a female ghost. It was rare for her to hear ghost element here. So she asked curiously, "Does the holographic game you play have ghosts?" "Yes, Sister Jiu. This is a new game launched by the Lake Group. In addition to the most common interstellar beast element, it also adds a lot of copies with ghost legends," Zikingayu explained to her, while wiping her sweat. "Sister Jiu, you will know if you play it. It is really scary and fun." Hearing this, Wen Jiu walked up and picked up the holographic game helmet, and then put it on, and logged in with the help of Kaioshishi. This holographic game helmet can recognize the Star Network account. So she followed Kyoshish's operation for a few times and successfully opened the holographic game interface. The picture in front of her turned, and the originally quaint main hall disappeared, replaced by endless darkness. Then, a few lines of text lit up in the darkness. It is detected that you are a new user who is logging in for the first time. Do you want to start the novice tutorial? Seeing this, Wen Jiu decisively chose no. It was not because of how confident she was, but because Kyoshi said that she just had to wait for the invitation to form a team. But after she chose no, her vision suddenly widened, and lines of glowing text were scattered in the air. She saw single-player dungeons, team halls, friend lists, nearby players, etc. In short, it didn't look particularly different from when she played games in modern times. It's just that she used to look at the screen to make choices, but now she is inside the screen, with all the options at her fingertips. Just as Wen Jiu was strolling around curiously, a string of text suddenly flew in front of her. The nearby player Brother Yu from society invites you to join the team. Do you agree? Is there any need to ask this? She quickly touched the glowing words. The scene changed in an instant, and 4 more people suddenly appeared around her. Since everyone is here, I'll start the game. After Zikingayu pulled Wen Jiu into the team, he tapped the eyeball pattern on his wrist. But from Wen Jiu's perspective, it was as if he was poking the air. Jiu, there is also an eyeball pattern on your right wrist. You can summon the panel by tapping it, he explained to Wen Jiu, while confirming the dungeon information. But when you are in the waiting interface, you can only view the dungeon information, or make some routine choices, when you open the panel. Only after entering the game will the dungeon prompt appear, as well as the backpack for storing props. Hearing this, Wen Jiu raised his wrist to check. There was indeed an eyeball pattern on his right wrist, and when she opened it, it was indeed the game panel. But before she could figure it out, Zikingayu confirmed the dungeon information and directly started the dungeon transmission. For a moment, the world was spinning, and she couldn't help but close her eyes. When the dizziness disappeared, Wen Jiu slowly opened his eyes. In an instant, a familiar mechanical female voice rang in her ears. Welcome player 3766 to the Blood Red campus. Please click on your panel to view the task information. This dungeon game is an adventure puzzle game. Player roles have been assigned. Please complete it within the specified time. If you feel uncomfortable during the game, please click to exit immediately. Although this game is not real, and you will not be brought back to reality after being injured, please do it within your ability to avoid psychological trauma. Remember that everything is just a mirage. Don't let yourself get caught up in it. As the voice disappeared, a cold wind suddenly blew, and she shivered with cold. The thick fog gradually dissipated, and she finally saw the scene in front of her clearly. That classmate, what are you still standing there for? The time is almost up. If you don't go to school, you will be deducted class points. Wen Jiu looked at the middle-aged man in security uniform, coupled with the other party's warning words, and the banner with red background and white letters hanging at the school gate, and instantly felt a sense of time and space disorder. Help. She won't travel through time again. Is it over? God is addicted to playing, right? Just as she stood there cursing God, a beautiful boy in school uniform ran towards her. As soon as the other party opened his mouth, she knew that she was still in the Interstellar and had not traveled through time. Sister Jiu, is that you? Zikingayu had changed her face. The other party was no longer a young boy who had not yet grown up, but a young man who was nearly 18 years old. Hearing this, Wen Jiu calmed down. It's me, what's going on? The mission information is to let us go to school for class. Zikingayu was also a little confused. Anyway, let's go in first. I just looked around and didn't find anyone else. She nodded and agreed when she heard this, and then quickly pulled the other party to rush to the door. She was very familiar with entering the school on time. The security guards at the school gate were familiar with her. As soon as she saw her hurried appearance, she knew that the seniors who sent her to school got up late again. The two ran all the way into the school. It should be the morning reading time now. There were not many students strolling outside on the campus. Only bursts of reading sounds continued to ring. Chapter 862 Holographic Game 2. Wen Jiu. Why did you come on time again? Did you use a stopwatch to get to school? Familiar questioning tone, familiar words of disdain, and familiar high school female head teacher. She was short, so she made up for it with shoes, wearing a pair of red high heels. She was wearing black stockings with a pink skirt and a dead Barbie pink on her lips. When she glanced at the door, her brown eyebrows were frowned, and a hint of disgust was revealed in her thick glasses. If Wen Jiu hadn't been accompanied by Jiu, she would have really suspected that she had returned to high school. I'm asking you a question. The head teacher stepped down from the podium in red high heels. The college entrance examination is coming soon. How can you get into a good university with your lazy appearance? Hearing this, she couldn't help but clench her fists. Even though she knew all this was fake, she still felt angry. Just as she was thinking about whether attacking the NPC would be considered a violation, the innocent girl sitting in the first row suddenly put down her book and stood up. Teacher Zhang. Wen Jiu is a day student, and she doesn't have to attend morning reading. Kyoshi stated the facts firmly. You don't have to scold her in front of so many people, right? After saying that, Teacher Zhang frowned in dissatisfaction. Day students don't have to attend morning reading, but the college entrance examination is coming soon. I hope you can all seize the time to study instead of wasting time on useless things. Others may not feel much when listening to these words, but for Wen Jiu, it really adds fuel to the fire, because her high school class teacher is like this. Although the other party doesn't know what she is doing specifically, he always suppresses her in a way of open and indirect ridicule. You will soon become college students. Don't always believe in the things in fantasy novels, Teacher Zhang said as she walked back to the podium and occasionally glanced at the door. What cultivation to become an immortal, fighting spirit to become wings, are just tricks to deceive children, you know? After her voice fell, several students who were reading in the morning suddenly laughed out loud, which seemed particularly abrupt in the harmonious reading. Seeing this, she frowned in dissatisfaction. Food adder, Zhengxiaoxiao, what are you laughing at? What's so funny? Stand up and tell everyone. The two students she called out were sitting in the back row. They put down their books and stood up, suppressing their laughter, but did not answer. So she pinched 2 pieces of chalk and threw them directly at the two. Food adder, who was hit, spoke first. Teacher, Zhengxiaoxiao said that the incense smell on Wen Jiu was too strong. The wind blew in just now, and we were all choked. As soon as he finished speaking, the students sitting in the back row laughed. Wen Jiu was familiar with this scene. She still remembered that she beat someone in a rage, causing her uncle to come from a long way to act as her parent. Because her master was in seclusion during that time, all her small matters were handled by her senior brothers and sisters, and the big matters were handed over to her uncle. In short, the result was very frustrating, but she could do nothing about it. Just when she was thinking deeply, she heard Food Adder scream, Chujian, what are you doing? Teacher Zhang walked forward angrily, trying to pull Chujian away from Food Adder. However, she was no match for him in strength, and could only watch Food Adder being punched. What are you all standing there for? She pulled and yelled, come over and pull Chujian away. As soon as she finished speaking, the students around her quickly surrounded him, trying to stop Chujian, who was like a ferocious beast. But before they could exert their strength, Chujian stood up, his peach blossom eyes full of disdain. Chujian, you violated the school rules. Teacher Zhang raised her head aggressively and looked at Chujian, who was a head taller than her. Now stand at the back with your books, and I will call your parents after the morning reading is over. The person she hated most on weekdays was Wen Jiu, and the second was the undisciplined Chujian. As she was thinking, she turned around and glared at Wen Jiu, who was still standing at the door. Your parents will have to come over soon. I want to ask why there are still people coming to school on time every day when the college entrance examination is coming soon. After she finished speaking, she hurried to check on Food Adder's condition. The other party was beaten with a swollen nose and blood dripping down. Seeing this, she raised her head fiercely. Zhengxiaoxiao, send Food Adder to the infirmary first, and the other students returned to their seats to continue morning reading. Chujian, you follow me to the office. As for Wen Jiu, he should be punished for being late. You should stand at the back with your books. It's a lesson. Hearing this, Kaioshishi and Zikingai wanted to refute, but a prompt sound popped up in their minds, and the game warning text was displayed on the panel. Please proceed according to the plot settings. If any behavior that violates the plot settings is detected, it will be forced to pop up. So the two looked at each other and temporarily suppressed the idea of refutation. But the main reason was that Wen Jiu quietly made a gesture to signal them not to act rashly, which prevented the two from speaking out. Otherwise, even if they were forced to eject, they would have to help Wen Jiu get justice. After teachers Zhang and Chu Jian left, Wen Jiu and Zikingai entered the classroom. Both of them returned to their respective seats without stopping. But what surprised Wen Jiu was that her seat was the same as she remembered. She first found the Chinese book from the desk, and then walked slowly to the end and stood. But she had no intention of doing morning reading at all. She was thinking about how all this could be so coincidental. As far as she knew, even ordinary schools that were not reserve military academies were not modern middle schools that followed the rules. So all these coincidences were so strange that she felt creepy. If it weren't for the existence of Chu Jian and others in this place, and the teachers and classmates in the class were completely unfamiliar, and the campus environment was different from her memory, she would really think that she had traveled back to high school. After the commotion, the students' morning reading sounded again. Wen Jiu was thinking and scanning at the same time, and just saw the edge of the blackboard, which clearly said that there were 40 days left before the college entrance examination. Thinking back to when she was in high school, she spent more than a month doing crazy exercises. She almost fainted at the end, and it was all thanks to the refreshing pills made by her senior sister that she was able to hold on. In fact, she didn't like going to school at all, and her classmates thought she was a little sick. But the master said that as a modern cultivator, no matter how secluded you are, you can't avoid the mundane world. So she studied hard until she finished college, and then she hid in the mountains and forests and cut off contact with all her classmates. Whisper. 1. NPC refers to non-player characters in the game. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 863, Dream Back to High School 1. What is the background of this instance? Why do we have to take exams in every class, and we are still using paper books? Zikingai sat down with his lunch tray, but he was not in a hurry to eat lunch. While looking around to check the situation in the cafeteria, he whispered to his friends about this instance. Hearing this, Kaioshishi also frowned in confusion. You all received the role memory, right? My role is the class monitor, and the character setting is an obedient 3 good student. What does 3 good student mean? Does it mean good academic performance and good combat ability? He was even more confused when he heard the word. My role is a rich 2nd generation student in the class, and his grades are above average and a little biased in one subject. Although he had many questions that he wanted to seek answers to at the moment, he still followed Kaioshishi's topic and continued. After the words fell, the other party looked around and answered in a low voice. 3 good students refer to students with good moral character, good study, and good health. However, in this era, students who get this title are all excellent academic performance without exception. The two chatted for a long time, and Wen Jiu in front of them did not talk. Seeing this, Zikingai thought that Wen Jiu was not used to this game mode. JIUG, holographic games are like this. Do you remember the immersive theater we played before? The mode is actually similar. It's just that holographic games are more realistic than immersive theaters. The game we played is mainly role-playing adventure puzzles. If you do the novice tutorial, it will definitely be easier to adapt. But we are in a hurry to get you to play, so we didn't let you do the novice tutorial. He talked a lot, but Wen Jiu just stared at the plate in a daze and didn't look up or answer him. Seeing this, Kaioshishi, who was sitting next to him, handed over the drink she bought. Jiu, although this game is easy to play, if you feel uncomfortable playing, we can help you quit the game. You don't have to force yourself to play. Thank you, but I'm not uncomfortable or unaccustomed to it. When Jiu finally came back to his senses and began to eat sporadically, I just feel a little strange. Hearing this, Jiu first took a big sip of coke and then asked curiously, Jiu, you can't have thought of how to solve the case, right? By the way, Jiu, what is your character setting? What solve the case? What character setting? When Jiu couldn't help but be stunned for a moment and even dropped the spoon. Although she received a system prompt after entering the copy, she did not find the so-called role and task information after clicking the eyeball icon. She was indeed in a daze just now, but she listened to the discussion between Kyoshi and Jiu. Both of them had received the memory transmitted by the system, but she didn't even know the most basic pre-plot, let alone receiving the memory. By the way, the pre-plot is the plot that the system uses to start the dungeon story and briefly introduce the background before the dungeon officially begins. Kyoshi first helped her pick up the dropped spoon, and then told her the content of the pre-plot. Every school has its own supernatural rumors, which may be the sudden appearance of extra steps at midnight, or the sudden crying when going to the toilet in the middle of the night, and the unknown city number 8 high school, where they are, is no exception. It is said that at 12 o'clock every Wednesday night, strange crying sounds will be heard in the teaching building, occasionally mixed with messy footsteps. But the security guards have checked many times and found no one else inside. Later, a senior high school student accidentally fell asleep in the activity room. When he woke up, it was already 12 o'clock in the evening, so he thought he could sleep in the activity room for one night. Anyway, many students will stay up late in the classroom to study hard as senior high school approaches. Even if he doesn't go back to the dormitory tonight, he won't be chased and scolded by his aunt. Just when he wanted to close the window and continue sleeping, there was a sudden banging sound in the cabinet in the activity room, accompanied by bursts of sobbing. He wanted to muster up the courage to go and find out, but when he took a few steps forward, he saw a pool of blood under the cabinet, which scared him so much that he quickly opened the door and ran out. Kyoshi had only told Wen Jiu half of the story when Jiu next to her covered her ears, pretending not to listen. Seeing this, she couldn't help but chuckle. Little chestnut, why do you want to play the detective puzzle game when you are so timid? Besides, these pre-plots are all recorded on the personal panel. Didn't you read them? As soon as she finished speaking, Jiu retorted, of course I read them. It's just that you talked a lot. Anyway, I just don't want to listen to you. Oh, then just cover your ears and don't listen. She was about to continue to tell Wen Jiu about the pre-plot and saw Jiu walking towards them with a plate. Seeing this, she smiled and raised her hand and waved, brother, hey, this way. Jiu still had a sense of depression in his heart, but he still pretended to be calm and walked slowly to Wen Jiu and sat down. Although he knew that the player would automatically transform according to the copy settings, he still had an indescribable feeling when he saw the trio who suddenly grew up. I didn't expect that playing a game would make you grow up early. He looked at the onions in the plate and couldn't help showing a trace of disgust. Although the cafeteria of this school is quite normal, why is the onion fried meat full of onions? After speaking, Wen Jiu said calmly while eating, because this is the cafeteria for special students, there is naturally not much meat to eat if it is free. If you go to the high-end cafeteria next door, you can eat as much meat as you want. How did you know? He silently looked for minced meat in a pile of onions. Is your task information so detailed? All players will get their own role cards and some information about the task after entering the dungeon. The role card will provide players with the character settings of the character, as well as the character's recent memories, so that players can have an immersive and ultra-realistic game experience. As for some information about the task, in the team dungeon, each player gets different ones. After all, this is a team dungeon, and you have to work together well to pass it. Before Wen Jiu could answer, Jiu spoke first. Jiu doesn't even have a character card, let alone mission information. He originally wanted Jiu not to ask too many questions, so that Kyoshi could continue to talk about the previous plot. As a result, he suddenly remembered that when he was about to be late in the morning, it was Wen Jiu who dragged him all the way to the classroom door. so he half squinted his eyes and said in a joking tone, "Oh, Jiug, we were almost fooled by you. Did you get the special character card? Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels. 030. Whisper. There will be 4 updates a week this week. Little Angels, don't forget to come and see. W equals. Super Whisper. Reviewers. Please let me go. I didn't write anything bad. Cack. Chapter 864. Dream back to high school 2. In some difficult team dungeons, special role cards will appear. Players who get this kind of role card are generally responsible for important tasks. Most of the tasks are single player tasks, and there is a requirement not to reveal them to other players. Therefore, many players will pretend that they have not got this kind of role card after getting it, so as to avoid the matched players from sabotaging it. After all, in the world of holographic games, no one knows each other's true identity. There are always some players with little quality who will deliberately sabotage and affect other people's experience. Thinking of this, Zikingayu suddenly slapped the table hard, attracting the sparse students around him to look up and cast curious eyes. Seeing this, he hurriedly buried his head in digging rice, pretending that nothing had happened just now. Little chestnut, you scared me just now. Kaioshishi patted his arm lightly. Did you think of any clues? Hearing this, he swallowed the food in his mouth first, and then lowered his voice and said, "Didn't I just ask Sister Jiu if she got the special card? And then I was thinking about it, and suddenly remembered something. It stands to reason that the copy NPC should call us by the player name, but the NPC in this copy calls us by our real name. It's outrageous. Even if we log into the Star Network account, we shouldn't call our real name directly. What's more, this campus copy is a team competition mode, so it is even more impossible to call by real name." After he finished speaking, he stole a glance at Wen Jiu, who was eating. He didn't expect the other party to praise him. However, Wen Jiu didn't say anything, but just continued to eat. He had to retract his expectant eyes and said solemnly while eating, "Sister Jiu is so bad. Not only did she not tell us that she got the special role, but she even pretended that she knew nothing." Fortunately, this young master was smart and found the flaw in the details. After he finished speaking, Kaioshishi beside him just glanced at him. "Haha, if you are smart, then we are all top geniuses. But then again, why don't we see Nini? Has she been assigned to another class?" As soon as these words were spoken, everyone remembered that they hadn't seen Stephanie yet. That should be the case, right? Zikingayu put down his chopsticks after eating half his fill. "Weren't we separated in the last dungeon?" Kaioshishi and Chujian played for a long time before Wen Jiu and Stephanie joined in. Although they entered the dungeon as a team every time, there were always a few dungeons that would separate players from the same team. When playing the last rural adventure dungeon, Kaioshishi was assigned to another village, and it took them a lot of effort to successfully reunite. Will she be assigned to another school? Kaioshishi stared at the plate with a worried look on her face. "How about we take advantage of the lunch break to take a look around?" Hearing this, Chujian, who was drinking soup, waved his hand. "No, she's in this school, just in another class." When he was called to the office by Teacher Zhang just now, he happened to run into Stephanie, who came to submit a self-criticism. Coincidentally, both of them are problem students. One is the type who will start a fight at the slightest disagreement, and the other is a type who secretly does bad things and instigates others. In short, the teacher hates both of them very much. However, he was not in a hurry to recognize Stephanie. After all, he was called over by Teacher Zhang to be reprimanded. Although he could pin the other party to the ground and beat her, since no one else chose to interrupt the game, he did not act rashly and just followed the plot. If Nini is also a problem student, then we should be able to find her easily, right? Kaioshishi finally breathed a sigh of relief. She and Nini had some conflicts before, but the two of them later reconciled. Although their relationship is not very good now, at least they are friends who care about each other. After the words fell, Zikingayu beside him nodded thoughtfully. "I think so. I have to trouble you and Sister Jiu to ask among the female classmates. It is not convenient for the two boys, Brother Hei and I, to ask these people. It's not that he has any gender discrimination, but in a place like school, where there are many people and gossips, if male and female students get a little closer, it is easy for strange rumors and gossip to spread. For example, he followed Wen Jiu to an ordinary cafeteria today. On the way, many classmates who knew that he was a rich second generation would cast curious and gossipy eyes from time to time. When he was queuing for food just now, there were a few students standing behind him, discussing why he came to this cafeteria, and why he came with Wen Jiu. It's just that those students didn't say anything excessive, so he just ignored it, and pretended not to hear it. No problem, Kyoshi responded with a smile. Then let's talk about the task. Judging from the previous plot and task prompts, this case is related to campus ghost stories, and the content of the ghost stories is basically related to the night. So do we have to look for clues at night? As soon as she finished speaking, Chu Jian followed up. It doesn't necessarily have to be at night to look for clues. When I was in Teacher Zhang's office just now, I happened to hear a few teachers chatting, saying that another student had died in the school. The word again is interesting. Ziqingyu supported her chin with one hand, pretending to be thinking. It seems that this time it is a serial case. Hearing this, Chu Jian nodded and replied, well, I wanted to listen more, but the Dean of Studies suddenly came, and those teachers didn't dare to talk. It doesn't matter, this kind of gossip will definitely spread among students. Kyoshi thought about it seriously. There is some information in my memory. It seems to have started from the student who stayed in the activity room. A few days after he encountered the supernatural incident, he died inexplicably in the toilet on the 4th floor of UK building. UK building is the teaching building where we have classes, and the 4th floor is where the activity room is located. After the voice fell, Wen Jiu, who had been silent, finally spoke. In addition to the senior 3 students, there are also some sophomores who take classes in UK building. Does that mean we should not only ask the senior students, but also the sophomores? Ziqingyu said as she cleaned up the dishes as usual, but that would be too much trouble. Hearing this, Wen Jiu shook his head slowly. No need to make it so complicated. The activity room on the 4th floor is usually used by the sophomores clubs, and after the accident, there are definitely not many students who dare to go there. In short, we only need to find those students who used the activity room before the deceased was found. This is the second update for today. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 865. Flowers in the Mist 1. After lunch, it was time for a lunch break. Ziqingyu and Kyoshi had originally proposed to take the opportunity to search for clues, but they were caught by the security guards before they could take any action, so they could only go back to the dormitory for a lunch break. As for Wen Jiu and Chu Jian, they were called to the office by Teacher Zhang on their way back to the dormitory. Teacher Zhang, my Jiu was not late on purpose. It's mainly because our home is a bit far from the school, and it takes a long time to get there every time. And when I first came, I asked the security guards at the door, and they said that Jiu arrives on time most of the time, which makes her later than other students, but she didn't violate school rules by being late. Seeing that the child is about to take the college entrance examination, can you please criticize her less and praise her more? People say that the most important thing is the mentality. What if our Jiu's mentality collapses, and she doesn't perform well in the college entrance examination? When Teacher Zhang heard this, she slammed the table in anger and said, what do you mean by these words? Do you think I'm deliberately making things difficult for your Wen Jiu? Since your home is far away, don't you know to get a boarding school? Her thick lips opened and closed, and white saliva kept splashing out. Just because she wasn't late when she ran to the school gate doesn't mean she wasn't late when she ran to the classroom. Also, you know what Wen Jiu's situation is in school. If I still want to praise her for this, then problem students like Chu Jian can go on stage to receive the award. Chu Jian, who was suddenly mentioned, raised his eyes and glanced at her with a deadly look. Seeing this, she couldn't help but get angry. What are you looking at? Your grandfather will be at school soon, and it will be your turn to be criticized later. And Fudada's parents already know about your beating, and they will come to your parents later to discuss how to solve it. You are a senior high school student after all. Why don't you think more about your future? Food Adder just played a joke on Wen Jiu. Did you have to rush over and beat him up like that? Teacher Zhang talked a lot and finally made Mukingren find the point. Teacher Zhang, what did Food Adder say about our Jiu? He had some impression of the student Food Adder. When he asked Wen Jiu seniors before, he heard some things about the school. It was said that there was a student named Food Adder who always led other students to make trouble, gave Wen Jiu a nickname, and played some pranks. But what was the specific situation? Wen Jiu was unwilling to say it, and they couldn't find anyone to ask, so in the end, they could only let it go. Hearing this, Teacher Zhang coughed a few times with a guilty conscience. Ahem, it's nothing, just a joke between students. She never liked Wen Jiu as a student, always thinking that he was very weird. In addition, Food Adder's family was very powerful and very rich, so she turned a blind eye and pretended not to know those things. Anyway, it is normal for students to have friction, as long as it doesn't get out of hand. There is nothing to worry about. TSK, saying that someone smells like incense is just a joke. Chu Jian tilted his head and showed a wicked smile. Are Wen Jiu and Food Adder very familiar with each other? Can you make such a joke casually? He would not back down because of something like calling parents. He is a person who can distinguish between reality and fiction. Even if he encounters such a thing in reality, he will still stand up for his friends. He believes that his grandfather can understand his approach. Even if the person being joked about is not Wen Jiu, he can't stand Food Adder's behavior. As soon as the voice fell, Mukingren suddenly changed his face. Teacher Zhang, is this true? Seeing this, Teacher Zhang glared at Chu Jian first, then laughed awkwardly a few times and said, isn't it just a little joke? They have a good relationship with each other as classmates. They won't be angry about such a thing, right? I know Food Adder very well. Although he speaks without thinking, he is very honest and has no tricks. He is definitely not making fun of Wen Jiu. In this case, she would definitely speak for Food Adder. But she was still a little scared of Mukingren, because it was said that he was from the Bishu temple in the next city. Although she didn't know the specific origins, she knew that Bishu temple was always effective. If he did something in a fit of anger, she wouldn't be able to hide, even if she wanted to. So she didn't use a tough attitude, but a relatively gentle tone. Mr. Mu, you can tell at a glance that he graduated from a prestigious school, so you should know that students have a good relationship with each other, and it's normal to joke and play around. Wen Jiu is an introverted child who doesn't like to communicate with classmates. Mr. Fu also wants to liven up the atmosphere and help her make friends. Don't listen to Chu Jian's nonsense. This child has never been quiet. However, after Teacher Zhang had been talking for a long time, Mukingren still maintained an indifferent expression. He had known for a long time that Wen Jiu was not very happy in school, but he didn't expect that he would encounter such a thing. Teacher Zhang, please don't call bullying a joke. His phoenix eyes revealed a hint of coldness. I will find Xiao Jiu to understand the specific situation. If necessary, I will consider taking legal channels to resolve this matter. After saying that, he didn't even say hello to Teacher Zhang and stood up and pulled Wen Jiu out of the office. The moment he walked out, he became humble and polite again. Xiao Jiu, how come you are beautiful again after not seeing you for a few days? He didn't rush to ask Wen Jiu about the specific situation, but livened up the atmosphere as usual. Call me uncle quickly, and uncle will buy you cotton candy. Hearing this, Wen Jiu looked at the person in front of him very calmly. Mukingren was the same as she remembered, maintaining a humble and polite smile, and her thin figure seemed to fall down in the wind. No matter whether she was 8 or 18 years old, in the eyes of the other party, she would always be a child who loved to eat candy. Seeing that she didn't speak, Mukingren didn't rush, just pulled her forward. How about I ask for a leave for you, and we go to the amusement park? Although the other party's eyebrows were curved, there was a coldness in his eyes. Or you can go back to the back mountain to play. Don't you like to explore the back mountain the most? I will accompany you to sneak in quietly. Just as Mukingren was talking to himself, Wen Jiu suddenly stopped. Seeing this, he couldn't help but turn his head in confusion. What's wrong? Is there something wrong? The next second, he suddenly felt a sharp pain. Wen Jiu held a fork against his throat, and the other party stared at him with an indifferent expression and asked, "Who are you?" Today's third update has also been delivered. Thank you again for the support of the little angels. 030. Chapter 866. Flowers in the Mist 2. Xiao Jiu. What are you doing? Mu Qingren did not resist, but was very confused. Don't joke with your uncle like this. My uncle's little heart can't stand it. Seeing this, Wen Jiu increased his strength, and the tip of the fork cut the skin, and the scarlet blood slowly slid down. She was sure that the person in front of her was definitely not Mu Qingren, because the real Mu Qingren would not urge her to go to the back mountain of the sect to play, even if he indulged her. Besides, it is now the Interstellar era, and she is now in the game. How could she meet Mu Qingren? Even if there are some real things in the game, people like Mu Qingren will not appear as NPCs. Because Mu Qingren is a modern person, not a person from the Interstellar era. Besides, even if the holographic game is highly intelligent and allows players to play as if they are in the game, it is impossible to develop according to her memory. She is not the daughter of the game developer. The most important thing is that she asked Zikingayu and others while eating. They all said that in the dungeons they played before, they had never used real names, let alone real images. For example, in the last dungeon of rural exploration, they used the image generated by the character card. At that time, Kyoshi changed from a cute girl to a bearded uncle, which made Zikingayu and Chujian laugh for a long time. But Zikingayu was even worse. He changed from a delicate and jade-like boy to a child who couldn't walk steadily. In short, the three of them had never encountered such a situation of using real names and real images. At lunch, Zikingayu originally suggested to quit the game to see if there was any system failure. However, Wen Jiu was the first to reject this suggestion. She wanted to see what the next plot would be like, and by the way, find out what the person behind the scenes wanted. After all, if there are too many coincidences, it is not a coincidence. The person who made trouble took great pains to make such a scene. It can't be just to disgust her, right? So she asked everyone to be patient and continue playing as a normal dungeon. But she didn't expect that when teachers are asked to call the parents, the person who came would be Mu Qingren. Even the slowest person could sense that something was wrong. At this moment, the students had all returned to the dormitory for lunch break, and the teacher was also in the office eating and resting, so there was no one else walking in the corridor. So when Jiu once again increased her strength, and she stared coldly at Mu Qingren in front of her. My uncle's heart is very good, so don't say bad words here. Xiao Jiu, what's wrong with you? The other party's eyes were full of confusion. I'm your uncle? What bad words? Hearing this, she couldn't help but sneer, but forget it. My uncle won't let me call him uncle. He will jump up and down in anxiety if I call him that. The real Mu Qingren is her master's junior brother, so his actual age is only in his early 30s. Although Mu Qingren is usually a gentle and elegant gentleman, he is actually as erratic as her, and his humble and polite appearance is just pretending. At first, she would respectfully call him Uncle Master, but after getting to know him well, Mu Qingren stopped allowing her to do so. His original words were, "I'm only in my early 30s this year. You call me so old that people would think I'm 40. So from then on, she stopped calling Mu Qingren Uncle Master in private, and just followed her senior brothers and sisters to call him Big Brother Mu. Oh, so that's how it is. The fake Mu Qingren suddenly changed his face. Before Wen Jiu could react, he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Seeing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but take a defensive posture. Just as she stood there and looked around, the eyeball icon on her wrist suddenly lit up. So she clicked on the eyeball icon while being alert to her surroundings. Congratulations to player Wen Jiu for obtaining the character card Lost Man. Click on the card to view the character settings and receive memories. Congratulations to player Wen Jiu for obtaining the first clue of the main quest. Flowers in the fog are not flowers, and the moon in the water is not the moon. Just when Wen Jiu was checking the character card, Chujian came over with a cold face. Young master, are you waiting for me here? The other party whistled jokingly. Where is your fake uncle? Where did he go? She became interested when she heard this. How do you know it's fake? Because the old Chu who came is a fake. Chu Jian put his hands in his pockets with a sarcastic smile on his face. My grandfather will not scold me for being brave, nor will he nod and bow to that teacher's arm. He will only straighten his back and help me speak. Hearing this, she nodded thoughtfully. Indeed, Grandpa Chu has always believed in you. It seems that both of us have encountered fake relatives, but I don't know what these fakes want to do. When Chu Jian was forced to kill and flee, old Chu always believed that Chu Jian had his own difficulties. If someone dared to say something bad about Chu Jian in front of him, he would definitely stand up and argue with the other person. So when the old Chu in the game appeared, Chu Jian knew that it was a fake. Maybe he wanted to guide our emotions. Chu Jian turned his head slightly and then suddenly laughed. When did you get this fork? I didn't expect you to be a thief. After saying that, Wen Jiu hid the fork back in his trouser pocket. I just took one when I was getting food. So you were on guard at that time. Chu Jian's eyes flashed with a smile when he heard this. After the voice fell, the other party did not answer, but just walked towards the stairs silently. Seeing this, he trotted and followed. In fact, he had a lot of questions to ask, but he saw that Wen Jiu was not in a good mood, so he followed the other party silently until he arrived at the door of the class. There was still a while before the end of the lunch break, so they could go back to the dormitory for a while. But Wen Jiu was not a boarding student, so if she wanted to take a lunch break, she could only stay in the classroom. Chu Jian could go back to the dormitory to rest, but he always felt that Wen Jiu was not in a good state, so he followed him to sit in the classroom. However, there were other day students resting in the classroom, so he couldn't sit next to Wen Jiu to chat. So he sat in his seat and took out a draft book to write and draw on it. Not far from him, Wen Jiu was flipping through a textbook. Just when he was a little drowsy, he suddenly heard the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground. Their classroom was on the second floor, and the sound was extremely loud, which scared the other students in the classroom and woke them up. Everyone didn't know what happened, so they rushed to the corridor with a confused look on their faces, followed by bursts of screams. Seeing this, Wen Jiu first looked at Chu Jian, and then the two went to the corridor together. They carefully poked their heads out, only to see a dazzling blood flower exploded downstairs opposite. Today's fourth update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out, little angels. 030, Whisper. The holographic game will not be too long. Here I will briefly explain some of Jiu's situations in the modern world, and some foreshadowings for the later plots underscore. Chapter 867. Flowers in the Mist 3. The blood and white unknown objects mixed together on the ground, and the scattered flesh and blood made people tremble with fear. The students around kept screaming, and some of them burst into tears. Wen Jiu was stunned for a moment, and soon regained her composure. She gently pulled the corner of Chu Jian's clothes, signaling him to step back a few steps. Teacher Zhang is dead. Her tone at this moment was very indifferent, as if she was not talking about who was dead, but discussing what to eat in the evening. Hearing this, Chu Jian leaned down slightly, lowered her voice and asked, "It's broken like that, how can you still see it?" "Clothes and shoes," she said, raising her chin. "Why don't you go and take another look?" As soon as she finished speaking, the other party hurriedly shook his head. "No, I believe in the judgment of the young master. This kind of scene is enough to see once. Who would want to see it a second time?" Just when Chu Jian was thinking this, he saw Wen Jiu sticking his head out and looking down again. Seeing this, he couldn't help but get closer with curiosity. But he didn't look down like Wen Jiu did. He just stared at the other person's fair face. "Do you hate her?" Since he came to this copy, he felt that everything was wrong. Especially Wen Jiu's reaction. The other party has been out of shape. If Wen Jiu is usually a warm little sun, then Wen Jiu at this moment is the cold moon hanging in the sky. One shines on people and warms people, and the other is untouchable and cold as ice. Not really. Wen Jiu retracted his gaze and turned his head to face him. "She is not worth mentioning. There is nothing to hate." After saying that, he silently reached out and held the other person's hand. Is that so? I was thinking that if you hate her, I would scold her a few times to make you happy. Don't you think it's unlucky? Wen Jiu held back his smile and then withdrew his hand. Let's go. With such a big commotion, the dormitory building will definitely not be safe. Let's find Chestnut Flower first and then see if we can find Nini. To say that he hates her, it's not really a matter of course. She used to have resentment, but as time went by and with the careful guidance of her master, this emotion gradually faded. However, this does not mean that she let the teacher go. With the help of Mukingren, she used legal means. Although the evidence was insufficient at that time, which made the lawsuit very difficult, fortunately, the results satisfied her. So far, she felt as if she had found some clues. Does the person behind the scenes want to arouse her resentment? But what would it bring? But if he wanted to arouse her resentment, he should have let teacher Zhang scold her more. How could he let the other party die directly? Wen Jiu followed Chu Jiadan downstairs while thinking, but she was lost in thought and didn't see clearly in front of her. With a thud, she bumped into a warm embrace. Ah, look what I caught, a grown-up Jiu. Stephanie looked at her with a smile. Little Jiu, why didn't you come to see me? I had to ask around to find this place. Seeing this, she was relieved. It's not that I don't want to find you, but I don't have time. She wanted to find Stephanie during the lunch break, but she and Chu Jiadan were suddenly called away. Kyoshi and Zikingai were caught by the security guards again, so no one could find Stephanie. Fortunately, the other party didn't care too much and just came over mysteriously. Little Jiu, I overheard some shocking secrets. Super exciting and fun. However, before Wen Jiu could say anything, Chu Jiadan pulled Stephanie over. Let's talk about it after we find Chestnut Flower. If something happens, we'd better meet up early. As soon as the voice fell, the three of them walked out of the UK building and headed towards the dormitory. Along the way, there were students talking and teachers rushing to the UK building. Seeing this, Wen Jiu whispered, it seems that the lunch break is over. Let's find Ban Lihu and exchange the current clues. Then let's go directly to the downstairs of the girls' dormitory. Chu Jiadan quickened his pace. Ban Li must be going to find Huata, so just go to the downstairs of the girls' dormitory. As he said, he wanted to pull Wen Jiu and Stephanie away, but he saw that there were many students nearby. In order to avoid misunderstanding, he withdrew his hand and urged the two to catch up. Fortunately, the girls' dormitory is not far from the UK building. As soon as they arrived, they found the Ban Lihu group. I saw a lot of students gathered downstairs of the dormitory, and everyone had a different expression on their face. Some were terrified, some were afraid, and some were confused. In short, it can be seen that the news spread quickly. Even these students who just got up knew that something big had happened in the UK building. Jiug, you finally came to see us. Zikingai's face was filled with panic. I just woke up and heard that something happened in the UK building, so I hurried to the girls' dormitory to find Huata. Huata said that you and he went to the UK building, and then I sent a message in the team channel to ask, but you two ignored me. I was so scared that I was thinking about quitting the game. You don't know how worried I was just now. Although this is just a virtual game world, even if they are injured, they will not be brought back to the real world. But he is still very worried about the situation of Wen Jiu and Chu Jiadan. Fortunately, both of them are safe and sound, and it seems that they have not encountered anything. Hearing this, Wen Jiu glanced at the grove on the left. Let's find a quiet place to communicate again. There are too many people here. Don't cause any misunderstandings. She didn't care about the gossip and rumors among students. She was just worried that someone would mistakenly think that they had done something. After all, what they wanted to talk about was about campus ghost stories and what happened in the UK building. If irrelevant people heard it, it would easily trigger some strange fantasies. So the five of them took advantage of the chaos to sneak into the grove and started talking in a secluded place. I talked to my roommates before going to bed, and I got some clues. Kyoshi first told the clues she had collected. The first student who encountered a ghost in the activity room was from the previous class, but he jumped not long after encountering the ghost, you know. After him, 3 more students encountered the same thing, and those students also. I don't need to say more, right? Although the school is trying its best to dispel the rumors, no one dares to go to the activity room on the 4th floor, and the activity room has gradually become deserted. This clue sounds quite consistent with campus ghost stories. The students all encountered the same strange events and had the same frightening results. At this point, Kyoshi added, by the way, I also got the main task clue 1, which is the 3 bells ringing at midnight. Wen Jiu frowned in confusion. She had also got the main task clue 1 before, but Kyoshi's clue was completely different from hers. But just as she was about to ask, she heard a slight clicking sound. So she decisively took out the steel fork and threw it in the direction of the sound. This is the first update of the day, please check it out. Little Angels. 030. Chapter 868. Arrived home by chance 1. Hey. One of our own. Huo Xianan was nearly stabbed by the steel fork, but luckily his reaction ability was not too bad, and he barely avoided it. But when Jiu's throw was terribly accurate, and a bloody mark was directly scratched on his face, it was a little painful, but it was still bearable. Seeing this, Zikingai asked in amazement, "Are you little volcano? Why are you here?" Although this copy is a team competition mode, he never thought that he would be matched with Huo Xianan. But since the other party is here, it means little prince, don't hide, I'm going to be beaten to death. Huo Xianan jumped down from the tree, cursing, TSK, number 9, you are really cruel. If it was an ordinary person on the tree, he would be stabbed to death by your fork. Hearing this, Wen Jiu just shrugged with a smile, but you are not an ordinary person, you won't be stabbed to death by me. Besides, I left room for you, so I won't stab you to death directly. She and Chu Jian both had enhanced hearing, so they heard some subtle sounds when they just entered the grove. It's just that the two did not choose to alert the snake, so they pretended to be unaware. After all, if something happened in the school, the people who would come to the grove to take a break would only be players who came to play games. Even if they were secretly in love, it would be impossible for them to run to the grove to be sweet after a murder. Should I thank you then? Huo Xianan walked over with an unexpected look on his face. I really didn't expect to be matched with your team. Next time I will find someone to tell my fortune before playing the game. Hearing his words, Zikingai rolled her eyes. You are the only one who tells fortunes? It's obviously our bad luck to meet you. It seems that I really need to tell fortunes next time I play the game, so as not to run into you, the plague god again. Wow, isn't this the chestnut that cried because of my beating? He smiled provocatively. Why, now that you have number 9 to support you, you are getting tough, right? Seeing that the two men were about to start fighting, Luo Yi, who was hiding in another tree, finally jumped down. He first nodded politely and said hello, I didn't expect to meet you in this game. Since we have met, let's reach a cooperation again. One more partner is always better than one more enemy, and we can provide you with some clues. He put his attitude to the lowest level as soon as he came up, and he looked like he wanted to form an alliance with Wen Jiu and others. Seeing this, Chu Jian sneered, do you believe what you said? This is a 5-on-5 team dungeon. You and Huashan joined us, so what about your 3 teammates? To be honest, we didn't get along with those 3 savages, so we just parted ways. He roughly explained the whole story. Anyway, Huo and I don't have a team now, and I like decryption more than competition. In short, he and Huo Xianan are only 2 people, and they don't want to play that kind of 2-player game dungeon, so they just randomly matched a 5-player dungeon. It was only after entering that they found that the other 3 teammates were in a group. Let's just group together. In competitive dungeons, this situation is not uncommon. But the problem is that those 3 people are so stupid that they can't stand up to Zhu Liang. So Luo Yi took Huo Xianan away from the team, thinking that they could pass this dungeon with just the 2 of them. However, what they never expected was that the 5 enemies turned out to be Wen Jiu. It would be fine if it was an ordinary group. I'm still confident in a 2-on-5 situation, Luo sighed helplessly, but if I have to fight against the 5 of you, I think it's better to surrender to the enemy as soon as possible. Although he and Huo Xianan are intelligent and strong respectively, the problem is that Wen Jiu's group is also strong and intelligent. Moreover, they have more people than them, and they are overwhelming in terms of intelligence and strength. In this case, it would be difficult to fight head on, so he had already thought of this set of rhetoric. As for whether Wen Jiu would believe it, he was still not sure. If he believed it, it would be the best. He could take Huo Xianan to bow his head first, and then think of a way to turn things around later. If he didn't believe it, he could only act according to circumstances. But he still had another way, but it was a little risky. Wen Jiu was silent for a while before speaking calmly. I can accept you to join us, but please share the clues first. If it is valuable, I will take you with me. If it is not valuable, forget it. As soon as she finished speaking, Huo Xianan was so angry that he sneered. You are good at calculating. Who can't you throw away after using? You want to take the clues for free, at least pretend. Then if you want to use us, do it well. She half squinted her eyes and looked at Luo. Besides, it's you who need us to form a team now, not us who need you two to form a team. Shouldn't the one who asks for help prove his own value first? Although she had cooperated with the other party in the nursery base, and the cooperation was quite smooth and pleasant. But now they are in different camps, and there is also an invisible competitive relationship, so she naturally has to be on guard. No one dares to threaten me when I grow up. Huo Xianan punched Wen Jiu with lightning speed, and the wind from his fist blew up the other party's hair. However, before he could reach Wen Jiu, the other party grabbed his wrist. Then his upper body fell forward due to inertia, and Wen Jiu quickly raised his leg and used his knee to hit his chin, which made him feel dizzy and his head buzzing instantly. Before he could recover, he was clamped by someone. The other party twisted his hands behind his back, and the huge force made it difficult for him to break free. Since we have suffered together in the past, you punch and I kick, so we are even. Wen Jiu's mouth corners rose slightly. Don't think that I can't beat you, because you can't use superpowers in holographic games. She knew that Huo Xianan just wanted to suppress her with this point, but it was a pity that she was not a person who had nothing but superpowers. After that, Luo on the side spoke up. You all know what kind of tempers Huo has, so don't bother with him. And if you want clues, that's fine, but I have a request. Oh, forget it. Wen Jiu winked at Chu Jian, signaling him to let go of Huo Xianan. The defeated general still wants to make requests. You should find someone else to cooperate with. After that, she led her friends to the exit of the grove. Seeing this, Luo first looked at Huo Xianan, and then said helplessly, okay, I won't make any more requests. Can I give you the clues now? This is the second update of today. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 869. Arrived home by chance 2. In fact, if Huo Xianan didn't hurt anyone, Wen Jiu would still be willing to have a good talk with Luo. But since the other party wanted to use force to solve the problem, she couldn't give him a good face. Don't say that it was Huo Xianan who did it, not Luo. Now the two of them are obviously united as a team, which means that any action is mutually agreed. And when Huo Xianan made a move, Luo stood in his original position and watched quietly, and didn't even bother to stop him. It can be seen that they had discussed it early. To put it bluntly, they just wanted to test the strength of Wen Jiu and others in the holographic game. If they were not as good as them, the two would definitely use force to suppress them to achieve their goals. Although this move is risky, if it succeeds, they don't have to be controlled by others. But obviously, they failed. We got the third clue of the main task. Luo did not show the frustration of failure, but instead put on a faint smile. Here, you can see for yourself. After he clicked on the eyeball icon, he opened the permission for everyone to see. Seeing this, Zeking came over quickly. The graffiti on the desk. What is this? Do we have to look at all the desks in the whole school? This clue is too vague. No wonder Luo wants to find them to cooperate. If it is just the other party and Huo's iron, it will be difficult to find out the information provided by this clue before the end of the dungeon. In addition, this dungeon is a team dungeon, and it is really difficult for the two of them to pass it smoothly. Not really. Kaioshishi shook her head and answered directly, since we are going to follow the strange story, the desk we should look at is most likely the victims. After the words fell, Zikingayu on the side suddenly realized, oh, it can't be the desk of an unrelated classmate. It would be too outrageous to do so. Seeing that they started to discuss, Luo looked at Wen Jiu on the side and asked, we only have this one clue, and now I have shown it to you. So what is your decision? He still remembered what the other party said before. If it is valuable, he and Huo's iron can stay. I'll keep you here for now. Wen Jiu touched his chin thoughtfully. As long as you two won't stab me in the back, I'll have no problem helping you through this dungeon. As soon as she finished speaking, Chujian and Zikingayu couldn't help but look at each other. Well, when the great hustler is online again, those who don't know would think she has played the holographic game many times, but in fact she is just a newbie who hasn't even done the novice tutorial. Hearing this, Luo smiled and nodded. Don't worry, you know I'm the most trustworthy person. As long as your group sincerely accepts us, Huo and I will definitely be honest, and will never cause trouble during the mission. He only promised not to cause trouble during the mission. As for other times, it's hard to say. Then you can rest assured. You know I'm a trustworthy person. Wen Jiu said with a smile. I think you heard the clues we got when you were enjoying the coolness under the tree. I won't repeat them. As soon as he finished speaking, Huo's iron said with dissatisfaction, we too heard your conversation, but how can you prove that the clue is true? Why don't you ask that person like the little prince to open the panel's visible permissions for all members? Hearing this, Kaioshishi wanted to open the permissions to show that she was not lying. But before she could speak, she was stopped by Wen Jiu beside her. Huo's iron. How many times do I have to tell you before your stupid head can figure it out? The other party patted her hand gently to comfort her. This time it's you who asked us for help, not us who really need you. Since we have cooperated in this copy, just be obedient and don't cause trouble. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that you won't get hurt in the game. Although you can't use superpowers in the holographic game, we are still better at fighting. Even if the injuries in the holographic game will not be brought back to reality, you don't want to experience the feeling of being beaten up by a group of people, right? After saying that, Wen Jiu looked at Luo who was in deep thought. We have to go back to UK building now, so as not to miss any important clues. You and Huo's iron can continue to discuss. If you want to continue to cooperate, come to class 8 of senior 3 after the evening self-study. After she said this, she took Kaioshishi out, and Chujian and others naturally would not stay in the grove, so they followed her steps and left. After they left, Huo's iron asked lazily, how was my performance just now? Did I achieve the effect you wanted? Hearing this, Luo's mouth curled up a smile. Very good. He and Huo's iron were just acting on purpose, trying to test the strength of Wen Jiu and others. Although this was just a holographic game, winning or losing was not very important, but they still treated it as a competition. Wen Jiu would never have thought that we knew about their existence a long time ago. Huo's iron frowned with some dissatisfaction, but then again, why are they in the 3rd year of high school, while we are in the 2nd year of high school? In fact, he saw Wen Jiu at the beginning of the game. He was sitting in a luxury car not far from the school gate. It's just that he didn't see it clearly through the car window, and Wen Jiu's appearance had changed a little, so he didn't rush to get out of the car to recognize him. Now it seems that he didn't rush to go forward, otherwise it would be embarrassing when he met his real teammates. It's also because the random matching of the holographic game is too tricky. You have to enter the game for a short time before you can know who your teammates are. After he found Luo, he told him that Wen Jiu was also playing the game. However, they were in class at the time, so it was not convenient for them to skip class to track him, so they thought about looking for Wen Jiu later. But after class, they couldn't find Wen Jiu at all, so they went to the cafeteria and returned to the dormitory for lunch break as usual, until they accidentally ran into Zikingai, who was rushing downstairs. They overheard some news and hid in the woods to pretend to meet by chance. Maybe it's related to the mission. Luo shrugged indifferently. Let's go to UK building quickly, so as not to miss important clues. They have been delayed for too long, and hope to find some clues when they get there. Many brave students gathered under the UK building, and the crowds were so crowded that it seemed like they were rushing to catch the Spring Festival travel rush. I heard that the one who died was an old witch. TSK, she really deserved it. Don't say that. Be careful not to attract evil things. When you mention this, it reminds me that she must have been to the activity room on the 4th floor, right? She also jumped to her death. I don't know if you should stop talking nonsense. The police just came and cordoned off the scene. No one knows the specific situation yet. Today's third update has also been delivered. Thanks again to the little angels for their support. 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 870, Arrived Home by Chance 3. Wen Jiu and others stayed downstairs of the UK building for a long time. They separated and mixed into the crowd to get information. But before they stayed for long, a teacher came to chase them away. However, such a big thing happened in the school, and classes could not be held normally for the time being, so the students were driven back to the dormitory. Day students like Wen Jiu should have gone home, but the teacher still arranged a dormitory for her. So she stayed in an empty dormitory with several other day students to study. It was called self-study, but in fact, everyone was playing by themselves. Although there were only 40 days left before the college entrance examination, such a big thing happened under everyone's eyes today, and no one could calm down and study well. The other day students in the dormitory sat together, cautiously gossiping about the big thing that happened at noon today. I heard that when teacher Zhang did that, a student just happened to walk out from downstairs, and he fell right in front of him with a bang, and he was so scared that he wet his pants on the spot. I know. Was he a student from class 6 of senior 3? I saw him being carried away by the teacher before, and I was thinking that he wouldn't be so scared, but I didn't expect that he would witness such a scary scene. It seems so. I just heard it from others. I don't know the details. These students were discussing very enthusiastically, and even if Wen Jiu didn't go over to participate, she could still hear their chatter. So she sat quietly on another lower bunk, listening to gossip, while thinking about the current situation. This school is similar to the high school she attended before, but not completely similar. Although the layout is roughly the same, many of the furnishings and decoration styles are very different from what she remembers. And the teachers and classmates in her class are the same. For example, teacher Zhang's dress is similar to what she remembers, always so flamboyant like a paint palette. But the other party's surname and appearance are different from her previous class teacher. She knew very well that all this could not be just a coincidence, so she was wondering what the person behind the scenes was going to do. The other party had gone to great lengths to construct such a replica, and had also fabricated Mukingren, who only existed in the modern era, as if to evoke her memories of the modern era. Thinking of this, the mist in her mind suddenly dissipated a little. But before Wen Jiu could think about it carefully, she heard the student next to her say, "I have a little news. I will tell you quietly, but don't tell anyone." Hearing this, she immediately pricked up her ears. Teacher Zhang went to the activity room at noon today, and soon after he came out, he ran to the top floor. Well, you know. The other party's voice had just fallen, and the other students exploded. She really went to the activity room? It seems that the curse is real. That's not right. Isn't it said that only if you go to the activity room after midnight on Wednesday night, you will encounter ghosts and get into trouble? You don't understand. This ghost has harmed so many people, so its ability must be enhanced. Once its ability is enhanced, it can commit crimes in the daytime. Is there such a saying? Why do I feel it's a bit outrageous? The more outrageous things are, the more real they are. Look at so many outrageous things in the entertainment industry, and in the end, aren't they all proven to be true? That's right. When the story of that person first spread, I thought it was outrageous, but I didn't know that he went in and operated the sewing machine in the blink of an eye. Really? Right. And that person is also abroad. Wen Jiu heard this and lied that she wanted to go to the bathroom, went directly into the bathroom and locked the door. She was not interested in gossip in the entertainment industry. She just wanted to find clues to solve the mystery. After she sorted out her thoughts, she clicked on the eyeball icon on her wrist. In order to facilitate communication between players, there is a chat function on the panel. Because she and Zikingayu and others came in as a team, they also had a small group for team communication. When she clicked in, she saw the message sent by Zikingayu. Social jet, brothers and sisters. Shocking news. Teacher Zhang went to the activity room on the 4th floor at noon. It seems that the ghosts in the activity room are really causing trouble. Social jet, but the problem is that most students said that they have to go to the activity room at 12 o'clock on Wednesday night to encounter ghosts and then get into trouble. But Teacher Zhang went there at noon. How could she suddenly disappear? Zhiu da zhi. I also heard about this, but the activity room on the 4th floor has been abandoned for a long time. What was Teacher Zhang doing there at noon? Cat doesn't eat fish. I don't know. I talked to the auntie in the dormitory here. She said that the student who jumped off the building first lived in 603, and now no one dares to live in that dormitory. Should we find an opportunity to search it? Player 2879, HMM. Are we going to dig graves? I like this. Cat doesn't eat fish. We are going to search the dormitory, not dig graves. Did you read the news carefully? Social jet. Is there still a part of digging graves? I suddenly don't want to play anymore. Or let's quit the game. Cats don't eat fish. You two can donate your eyes together. I mean, find a chance to search the dormitory. Search the dormitory. Search the dormitory. Can you understand the federal language? Player 3766. Stop arguing. As soon as Wen Jiu said this, everyone became quiet. So she sorted out the information she knew so far and asked her friends to see if there was anything wrong. In addition, she also sent out the clues to the main task she received, as well as the late roll card. She used the roll card after entering the toilet, but she did not obtain the so-called roll memory, nor did she find the settings for the roll. Player 3766. I don't know why the clues I got are different from Shish's, and the information on the roll card cannot be read. Social jet. Oh my. Georgie, did you really get the special roll card? Did the system remind you not to disclose it? Cats don't eat fish. It seems that there was no reminder, otherwise how could she tell us? She has great ambition. Flowers in the fog are not flowers, and the moon in the water is not the moon. Is this sentence reminding us of something? For example, everything is illusory and not real? Society your brother you, but holographic games are illusory in the first place, and this clue doesn't seem to be of much use. How about we ask someone about the activity room? Before Wen Jiu had time to finish reading the message sent by Zikingayu, she heard a shrill scream from the student outside. Hearing the sound, she quickly unlocked the door and pushed it open. The girls who were chatting about gossip were huddled together in fear, and on the ground not far from them, there was a mobile phone with a lit screen. Seeing this, she hurried over and picked up the phone. The moment she saw the screen clearly, she knew why these girls screamed. This is the 4th update added today. Thank you to every little angel for your support and love. Mua. Whisper. Digging graves is a very bad behavior. The little author is a good citizen who abides by the law. The reviewer is a fan. Chapter 871. Another death one. There was a wrinkled human skin on the tile floor of the bathroom, surrounded by bright red and horrifying blood. White bones were scattered all over the floor, and there were countless pieces of meat and internal organs. Eyeballs like small balls fell at the door, staring straight in the direction of the person taking the photo. Anyone who saw this scene would be scared. However, Wen Jiu just put down his phone calmly and went back to the bathroom to communicate with his friends. I saw that Zikingayu sent several messages in a row, as if she had also seen the horrible photo. Social NIU jet, damn it. Did you see that picture? Social NIU jet rrrr. Georgie, why don't we quit the dungeon? It's too scary. Social NIU jet, say something. Don't be silent, I'm so scared. Before she could reply to the other party, she saw other people sending messages. Zio Kaio has great ambitions. I saw it. It's very scary, but aren't all horror dungeons like this? Don't keep thinking about quitting. You should have practiced your courage a long time ago. Cats don't eat fish. I saw it too, but I saw it from my classmates' phones. They seemed to be browsing the school's internal forum, and somehow this picture popped up. Then I browsed the forum with my phone, and sure enough, this scary picture popped up. Player 2879. Wow, another person died, but this shape is really not aesthetically pleasing. At least it should be shaped more beautifully, after cutting meat and scraping bones. Social brother you, is there a possibility that this picture is meant to scare you, not for you to appreciate it seriously? Seeing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but fall into deep thought. It seems that all students who browse the school's internal forum received this very bloody and scary picture. She felt that the significance of the appearance of this picture was definitely not just to scare people. Since the dungeon is about campus ghost stories, the dead person in this picture is probably someone who triggered the ghost story. First of all, players can be ruled out because in competitive dungeons, if a player dies, there will be a system notification sound for all members. So after ruling out the players, only the NPCs in the dungeon are left. It's just that the dead in the picture have become that look, and for a moment she couldn't recognize which NPC it was. Just as she was thinking seriously, Zikingayu sent a message. The other party is indeed a gossip lover with social bull syndrome. It only took a while to find out who the dead person in the picture is. Social NIU jet, big news. The dead person turned out to be Food Adder, and he died in the dormitory toilet. Just now a bunch of teachers came to his dormitory, and a group of people went to the door to set up a cordon. Social NIU jet, it is said that his roommate found it. Food Adder didn't come out after entering the toilet, and his roommate was in a hurry to knock on the door, and suddenly a lot of blood seeped under the door. His roommate was so scared that he immediately went to find the teacher. I don't need to say much about what happened next, right? Society, you brother, although I really want to say that evil will be punished, there is a particularly strange thing. There are 6 people in Food Adder's dormitory, but no one took pictures. After all, they were so scared that no one dared to take pictures. However, the picture was widely circulated on the forum. Isn't this a supernatural event? Cats don't eat fish. I just went to the door of Food Adder's dormitory, and there was indeed a cordon to prevent people from entering. Cats don't eat fish, by the way. I asked my younger brother, who happened to be in the same dormitory with Food Adder. He said that after Food Adder entered the bathroom, he didn't make any surprising movements. It was always quiet and very quiet. Chujayan's character is a bad student who dominates the campus. Naturally, there are a few younger brothers around him who hang out together. It's just that he didn't think of asking his younger brothers at first. It was only after he went to the door of Food Adder's dormitory and saw him that he remembered this matter. But I don't know the details either. I was so scared that I was dumbfounded. It was not easy for me to ask these questions. Zio Kaio has great ambitions. It seems that everyone has gained something. We girls can't go into the boys' dormitory, so I can only wander around and ask around. Zio Kaio has great ambitions. A female classmate said that she had seen Food Adder enter the activity room before, but she didn't know what he did specifically. She just happened to pass by and saw him with a glance. Player 2879. I didn't collect any useful information, but I studied the picture carefully, and I can be sure that this is definitely not man-made. Social Ujet, let me call you Sister Ni. You are really awesome. By the way, why doesn't Sister Jiu talk all the time? Could something have happened? Player 3766. Shut up your crow mouth. I think today is Wednesday. Otherwise, we can go to the activity room in the evening and we may get some useful clues. Let's not talk about the main task clue that Wen Jiu received. After all, this copy is about campus ghost stories, so they have to go to the activity room to find out. It's better to do it today than to wait for a day. It happens to be Wednesday today, so why not go and find out? Whether it's a human or a ghost, you can tell at a glance. It's not that she is bold and overconfident in herself, but the current clues and information all point to the activity room, which is enough to show that the activity room is a place worth exploring. You may encounter ghosts or supernatural events there, but it doesn't matter. Catching ghosts and exorcising evil spirits can be said to be one of her side jobs. Social huge, Georgie, are you sure you want to break into the activity room today? What if we encounter ghosts there, and we haven't found out about the first dead person yet? Zio Cairo has great ambitions. I believe Jiu has a way to deal with ghosts, but you should be prepared before going. You can go to the dormitory of the first dead person first to see if there is any useful information. Cats don't eat fish. Oh, you don't have to worry about this. I just met Prince Volcano at the door of Foodada's dormitory. I was going to take them to the dormitory of the first dead person while the chaos was going on. They wanted to join our group, so we have to use the coolies. Society NIUJ, brother Harry, you have changed. You are becoming more and more like JIUG. Cats don't eat fish. Free labor is useless. Since you all have no objection, I will take Prince Volcano with me. Player 2879. I have it. Is it too late for me to sneak into the boys' dormitory now? I also want to go to the dormitory with you. Maybe we can find some big surprises. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out, my lovely little angels. 030. Whispering. Will any little angels feel scared after seeing this? If so, come to my arms and hug. Chapter 872. Another death too. Chu Jian finally rejected Stefani's proposal. He took Luoyi and Huo Xianan to search the dormitory of the first deceased. After searching for a while, they found a diary. It recorded the mental journey of the deceased 1 week before his death, as well as various large and small supernatural events that he encountered at that time. For example, he was awakened by a strange exhalation in the middle of the night, and the lights suddenly flickered when he went to the toilet, and he was tripped inexplicably when walking on the road. These things are not big, but they are not small. It seems that they are nothing when taken alone, but they are very scary when stacked together. However, this diary, apart from proving that the deceased did go to the activity room and died accidentally not long after going to the activity room, has nothing worth recording. Everyone was busy for an afternoon and got more or less information. Among them, the one who gained the most was Zikingayu. He relied on the popularity accumulated by the character in his daily life to find many classmates to talk about the strange stories in the activity room. Not only did he know more details, but he also got a clue to the main task. I got the second clue, the crying sound in the activity room. Zikingayu showed the panel to everyone. It seems that we must go to the activity room, otherwise this clue will be invalid. After he said this, his face fell, and it can be seen that he didn't want to go to the activity room. But now all the clues and information point to the activity room. Even if he has a million reluctances in his heart, he has to go with Wen Jiu and others. After all, in this kind of adventure copy, acting alone is basically tantamount to seeking death. Although dying in the copy does not mean dying in reality. But the fear of death is real, and even the pain of being injured is real. So under normal circumstances, no one wants to seek death. After he finished speaking, Luoyi on the side also shared what he and Huo Xianan had learned. After we parted ways with brother Harry in the afternoon, we found a way to sneak into the UK building to check the desks. But there were no graffiti on the desks of the four deceased. Even the desks used by Teacher Zong and Foodada who died today, we checked, but we still didn't find the so-called graffiti. As soon as he finished speaking, Zikingayu couldn't help but frowned in confusion. Let's not talk about the graffiti first. How can you be sure that those desks are theirs? Don't you have any clues that you haven't shared with us? Because the information of the first four deceased was easy to inquire, so we asked their classmates. He had expected that someone would have doubts. It seems that the living would not dare to use things used by the dead. Therefore, The desks and chairs of the 4 deceased were all thrown into the utility room. It took the 2 of us a lot of effort to find them accurately, but it's a pity that there were no graffiti on their desks. At this point, he spread his hands helplessly. He did not hide any clues. If Wen Jiu and others did not believe him, he was unwilling to explain further. Hearing this, Wen Jiu, who was chewing on a small piece of bread, nodded and said, "I know. Now that clues and information have been shared, if you have no objection, we will find an opportunity to go to the UK building later." The students were forced to stay in the dormitory during the day, and even the dinner was a box lunch sent by the teacher. It can be seen how much disturbance today's incident caused. In the middle of the day, the dormitory aunt came to check the dormitory and warned them not to use their mobile phones to talk nonsense on the internet. However, such a warning was completely ineffective, and some students still posted messages on the internet. Fortunately, the relevant staff controlled it very promptly and did not let the news spread to more places. Although the school strictly prohibits the use of mobile phones, there are always some students who will hide them secretly. Moreover, such a big thing happened today, and parents are very worried about their children in school. Therefore, all the mobile phones that were previously handed into the dormitory management office were distributed to students for reporting safety. Anyway, it lasted until the end of the evening self-study, when the dormitory aunts received instructions from the school to let the students go to the playground to get some fresh air, and also asked the canteen chef to prepare some midnight snacks. Huo and I have no objection. Luo chew the bread slowly. We have already discussed it. If you don't want to go, then we will go first tonight. Although he hoped to reach a cooperation with Wen Jiu, he was confused for a while when he thought about the other party's operation at noon. Fortunately, Wen Jiu was a trustworthy person and finally agreed to their joining. Hearing this, Huo Zianan on the side yawned lazily. "Anyway, you have to go early or late, so it's better to go early to explore clues, so as not to be taken advantage of by others." "Yes, you have a point." Wen Jiu pulled a tissue to wipe his mouth. "By the way, will those 3 people go?" She did not forget that this was a team competition copy. In addition to Luo and Huo Zianan, there were 3 other players who had not shown up until now. Although Huo Zianan said that the 3 players were ridiculously stupid, she would not take it lightly. Before Luo and Huo Zianan could speak, Zikingayu, who was eager to go, replied, "Of course I will go. Today is Wednesday. If you miss it, you have to wait a week. Generally speaking, the time limit of the dungeon is either 3 days or 7 days. If they have to wait until next Wednesday, then this mission is basically a failure." After the other party finished speaking, everyone else nodded in agreement. Seeing this, Wen Jiu decided to explore the activity room at night. They first cleaned up their plates, then avoided the crowd, and slipped to the vicinity of the UK building. The flesh and blood that were originally scattered on the ground had been cleaned up, but mottled blood stains could still be seen under the light. Seeing this, Zikingayu couldn't help but shudder. Just when he wanted to say something to ease the atmosphere, he caught a glimpse of 3 figures walking out of the bushes not far away. So he silently closed his mouth and lowered his breathing, fearing that he would be noticed by those people and cause all of them to be exposed. "Brother, this UK building looks quite gloomy at night. Do we really have to go in and look for clues? You are talking nonsense. Don't forget that this is a team copy. If we don't come, others will have to come. Do you want others to get the upper hand?" Brother is right. Besides, today happens to be Wednesday. If we don't come, we have to wait a week. We don't have the time to wait. Third brother, if you are timid, just walk in the middle. We will definitely protect you. The big muscular man called the eldest brother walked in front, and next to him followed the thin third brother with pigtails. As for the chubby second brother, he walked at the back with a smile on his face, and he didn't look afraid at all. This is the second update of today. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 873, Breaking into UK Building at Night 1. Seeing this, Wen Jiu patted Chu Jiadan's shoulder lightly, and the other party quickly turned around and looked at her. In just a few seconds, Chu Jiadan understood what she meant, and then walked out of the bushes with his hands in his pockets. Brother hey, where are you going? Zikingayu asked in great surprise. Aren't we going to hide? She turned her head and glanced at Zikingayu. Hiding is to prevent the teacher from finding out. As for these 3 players, what's there to hide? Let's go and beat them up first. After she finished speaking, she was the second to walk out of the bushes, followed by Stephanie and Kayoshishi, followed by Luoyi and Huo Zianan who were hiding behind, and in the end, only Zikingayu was left with a confused look on her face. At first, she wanted to wait here until nearly 12 o'clock to enter the UK building, so as not to encounter teachers or patrol personnel who came to check. As a result, they squatted in the bushes for a long time and did not see a teacher or patrol personnel. Just as she was thinking about whether to go directly into the UK building, she didn't expect the hostile trio to appear. Now that I'm here, it would be unreasonable not to share some clues, right? In fact, Dahu is not as calm as he seems. He has always been afraid of dungeons with ghosts and gods. But he was randomly matched with this dungeon, and as the eldest brother, he couldn't say he would quit, so he had to bite the bullet and play. He thought he could let the other 2 teammates be scouts, but he didn't expect that the 2 were stubborn and disobedient. They directly left their team and formed their own team. Now there was no scout, and he had to be the eldest brother again, so he could only pretend to be calm and continue to play with his 2 younger brothers. Who knew that this dungeon would be so scary from the beginning? 2 NPCs died in one day, and the deaths were so tragic that they could not be looked at directly. To be honest, he really wanted to quit the dungeon, but even the most timid Sanhu was gritting his teeth and insisting, so he pretended to be fearless and continued to explore the dungeon as usual. That's when he went down to the night exploration activity room. Let's find a place to stay for a while. Dahu pretended to be calm and told his younger brothers, there's still an hour before 12 o'clock, no need to rush into the UK building. After that, Dahu said with a smile, why don't we go and search Teacher Zhang's office now? Staying outside in the hot summer will get you bit by mosquitoes. Teacher Zhang just did that, isn't it a bit, to search her office now? The thin Sanhu spoke hesitantly, and it can be seen that he is very scared now. However, Dahu just smiled nonchalantly. She's dead. What else can she do? Can she get out of the bushes to scare you? Ah. Ghost. His scream scared the other 2, causing the 3 of them to be in chaos in an instant. Seeing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but chuckle. Brother, they say you are a ghost. Oh, that's it. Chu Jian, who was walking in front, was quite speechless. Should we tie him up directly, or knock him out and carry him away? Knock him out and carry him away so that they won't scream and attract the teacher. After Wen Jiu finished speaking, he stepped forward. Just then, the thin Sanhu rushed towards her like crazy, and she kicked him unconscious with a flying kick. Then Chu Jian subdued Dahu, who was the first to wake up. The other party clamped him very skillfully and took out the hemp rope. He tied him up in a few seconds and stuffed a rag into his mouth. In the end, only Dahu, who was full of muscles, was left. At first, the other party tried to resist with force. After a few moves, he found that he couldn't beat him at all, so he resigned himself to lying on the ground and let others deal with him. In short, Wen Jiu and his team didn't spend much effort to successfully subdue the stupid trio. What do you want? Dahu sat in the classroom dejectedly. We really only got one clue, and it's a clue that's useless. He vomited out all the clues and information he found, but these people still looked at him with disbelief. Seeing this, he persuaded them earnestly, it's almost 12 o'clock, and it's useless for you to keep staring at me. You might as well go to the activity room quickly. Our clue is about the lost textbook. Finding a textbook in the school is like looking for a needle in a haystack, so we didn't look for the textbook at all. We just thought about going to the activity room to investigate at 12 o'clock in the evening. Hearing this, Luoyi smiled gently and asked, did you really not look for it? Really? Who was also tied up, roared, do you want to check the surveillance? We were in the dormitory all afternoon and didn't leave the dormitory until the evening. When he thought that he hadn't even used an attack just now, he was subdued by the tall and thin handsome guy in front of him, and he felt ashamed to find a hole in the ground to crawl into. He was actually suppressed by a chopstick spirit, and he couldn't even resist. It was a waste of his 200 pounds of flesh. Oh, didn't you sneak out in the middle? Luoyi still maintained a faint smile. Why did I see you guys sneaking out of the dormitory in the afternoon? After searching the dormitory in the afternoon, he and Huo Xianan ran to the UK building to find desks. Coincidentally, when they finished looking at the desks and were about to leave the UK building, they happened to see the stupid trio trying to climb over the wall. So he silently remembered this matter in his heart, thinking that he would ask the trio carefully when he met them again. Now there is such an opportunity, of course he must ask to the end. But just as his voice fell, a trace of panic flashed in Dahu's eyes. Seeing this, Wen Jiu, who had been silent, took out the steel fork and said, I advise you to be honest and stop trying to play tricks on us. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that you can walk out of the UK building alive. As she spoke, she waved the steel fork in front of Sanhu, scaring him so much that he closed his eyes and dared not say a word. Seeing this, Dahu couldn't help but shout anxiously, I say, don't touch my third brother. Don't you just want to know what we found? As long as you release my two little brothers, I will tell you. In fact, although they slipped out in the afternoon, they didn't find any clues. But when he saw that this group of people were eager to get clues, he thought it would be better to lie to them and get away. However, the girl in front of him stared at him for a moment, then smiled knowingly. Let's go. They have said everything they need to say, and there is no value in using them. Hey, you forced my brother to say that just now, and now you say we are worthless, Who said indignantly, raising his voice. You are kidding me, right? If you have the guts, loosen the rope on me, and let's fight head on. Before he could finish his harsh words, the lights in the classroom suddenly flickered. I have also delivered the third update of the day. Thanks again to the little angels for their support. 030. Chapter 874. Night break into UK building 2. It's almost 12 o'clock. Huo Xianan stretched lazily. If you don't care about these idiots, just tie them up here. He could guess that these three idiots couldn't find any clues, and it would be difficult to even ask the NPC for information. But Luoyi was cautious and suspicious by nature, so he had to stay here for a long time to ask. Seeing that Wen Jiu and his group had no objection, he pulled the chairs together in the classroom and fell asleep on the spot. When the light bulb flickered just now, the three idiots screamed, which woke him up. Didn't we turn on the light? Sanhu was frightened, and his face turned pale. Why? Seeing this, Wen Jiu first glanced at the clock on the wall, and then sighed helplessly. Let's take them to the activity room together, so that they won't find a chance to escape and find the teacher. Although she also thought that the three idiots were a burden, it would definitely be better to take them to the activity room than to leave them here. If these three people find a chance to break free, they will definitely go to the teacher to complain and interfere with the mission. Instead of leaving them here, it would be better to take them to the activity room. At worst, they will be chased by ghosts together, which is better than interfering with her mission. As soon as she finished speaking, Chu Jian pulled Dahu on the left and Sanhu on the right, and strode towards the classroom door. As for Dahu, he was pushed by Huo Xianan and followed reluctantly. The empty classroom they just found was on the 3rd floor, so they had to go up one more floor to get to the 4th floor. Everyone walked and looked around. On the one hand, they were afraid of being discovered by the security guards, and on the other hand, they were afraid of missing clues. I don't know why there was no security patrol in the UK building, even though a murder happened in the morning. Therefore, they did not encounter any obstacles and soon arrived at the door of the activity room on the 4th floor. Gusts of cold wind blew continuously, making Zikingayu hug her arms. It's 5 minutes to 12 o'clock. Should we go in now, or what? I think we can go in now. Luoyi knocked gently on the door of the activity room. There should be no one inside. Huo, come and unlock it. After saying that, Huo Xianan took out a rusty key. When they came to explore the UK building in the afternoon, they went to the security room to look for the key because they had to go to the utility room to find abandoned desks. It happened that the key to the activity room was placed together with the key to the utility room. They thought that the key to the activity room would come in handy sooner or later, so they took it together. Facts have proved that their decision was correct, otherwise they would have to break the door violently. With the click of the lock core turning, everyone's heart began to beat faster. Just when Huo Xianan wanted to push the door in, Wen Jiu next to him suddenly stopped him. Wait a moment, don't forget the clues we got. The other party calmly explained the reason. There will be 3 bells at midnight, and it's useless to go in if the bell hasn't rung yet. Hearing this, he let go of his hand. Okay, I'll wait with you. Time passed bit by bit, and it was the first time that everyone felt that 5 minutes was so long. Just when Zikingai was afraid and had nothing to say, the clock hanging in the corridor suddenly made a muffled sound. Dung, dung, dung. The muffled sound seemed to hit their hearts, and everyone present shuddered involuntarily. TSK, are we going in now? Chu Jian quickly came back to his senses. It's already 12 o'clock, and the bell has rung. Wen Jiu was about to nod and say that he could go in, when he heard a burst of electric current, followed by a very strange mechanical female voice. Classmates, class time is up, please quickly return to the classroom to prepare for class. 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 The originally clear mechanical female voice suddenly got stuck as if the signal was unstable. Just when everyone was puzzled, the lights in the corridor suddenly flickered non-stop. Such tricks could not scare Wen Jiu at all, but the stupid trio started to shout wildly that there was a ghost. Let me go. I want to quit the dungeon. Sanhu shouted with a pale face. There is a ghost. There is a ghost. He hid beside Wen Jiu while shouting, looking really scared. Dahu and Dahu did the same, shouting and begging for mercy, as if they really saw a ghost. Seeing this, Huo Xianan sneered nonchalantly. It's just that the light bulb flickered a few times due to poor contact. Are you 3 grown men so scared? Fuck you. There is really a ghost. Who was already panicking. Can't you see the end of the corridor on the left? There is such a big ghost standing there. Are you blind? Hearing this, Wen Jiu looked to the left of the corridor. She had been looking at the clock on the right, wondering when it would be 12 o'clock, and didn't notice any movement on the left. At the end, there was a human-like shadow floating. As the strange lights above their heads kept flashing, the shadow got closer and closer to them. Seeing this, she immediately opened the door of the activity room. Quick, go in. Zikingai and Kaioshishi were the first to go in, followed by the 3 idiots who were pushed in. How about you go first? Huo Xianan was very interested in the shadow, the little prince, and I will observe it for a while. After the voice fell, Wen Jiu just glanced at him, then kicked him, and kicked him directly into the activity room. When Luo saw this scene, he smiled and raised his hand. Thank you, I don't need it, I can walk by myself. He stepped into the activity room after he finished speaking, fearing that Wen Jiu would kick him. Stephanie, who wanted to stay outside to observe the shadow, was also stuffed into the activity room by Wen Jiu in a gentle way. Just as Wen Jiu was about to pull Chu Jian into the activity room, the shadow suddenly sped up and rushed towards them. Seeing this, she immediately made a hand gesture. What the hell? Playing tricks in front of me? A golden light instantly lit up at her fingertips, and she quickly drew a line in the direction of the black shadow, and the crescent-like light immediately flew forward. In the blink of an eye, the black shadow was hit and revealed on the spot. It was a bloody female ghost. Her face had long been rotten, and there were white maggots crawling around, and the deep eye sockets were empty. His Chu Jian took a breath of cold air when he saw this scene. But before he could take a few more glances, Wen Jiu grabbed his wrist, and the two retreated into the activity room together. After entering, the other party kicked the door with one foot, and the door of the activity room was closed with a bang, blocking the female ghost who made him a little scared. He just wanted to turn around and communicate with everyone, but found that the entire activity room was empty. There was no one else except him. This is the 4th update of today. Thanks again to the little angels 030, whispering. There are 2 main reasons why everyone is not nervous at the moment. One is that they are really brave and don't believe in ghosts and gods. The second is that they are now in a virtual game and will not really get hurt, even if they encounter danger. Later, the emotions will come up underscore. Chapter 875, Night Break into UK Building 3. Hurry up, who are her? That female ghost is about to catch up again. I know. Banley, keep your voice down. Zikingayu and Kyoshishi were running non-stop. They were afraid of being caught up by the female ghost behind them. The two ran all the way to the 5th floor and wanted to continue running to the roof, but suddenly heard a shrill scream, so they immediately found a classroom to hide in. I don't know how Gioji and the others are doing. This broken copy is too scary. Zikingayu tore the school uniform into a simple cloth strip and then wrapped it around the injured arm. The moment he and Kyoshishi entered the activity room, they were teleported to the laboratory on the 1st floor. Before the two had time to think about what happened, a female ghost suddenly appeared and attacked them. Because superpowers cannot be used in holographic games, ordinary fighting skills cannot beat female ghosts. So after he and Kyoshishi resisted for a while, they decisively rushed out of the laboratory and started to run for their lives. But the female ghost was really too fierce, and she kept chasing Kyoshishi. Although he has always been afraid of these scary things, he still took the initiative to help the female ghost block when attacking Kyoshishi. I remember there is a medical room on the 5th floor. Let's go find it later. Kyoshishi helped him wrap the cloth strips with great distress. Jiug and Hei Genini are so powerful, nothing should happen. You can relax and treat your wounds first. Hearing this, he still didn't relax. I want to relax, but we still don't know how to break the situation. If we are trapped here, it will be troublesome. There must be a way to break the situation. Let's go to the medical room to find medicine and treat your wounds. Kyoshishi wrapped the cloth strips layer by layer. Then we will go back to the 4th floor. There should be clues in the activity room. After all, we were teleported here after entering the activity room, so the key to breaking the situation must be in the activity room. The main thing is that the female ghost is too difficult to deal with, and we have to think about how to avoid it. They fled in the UK building for nearly half an hour and never met other friends. Therefore, she suspected that she and Zikingayu were teleported to a separate space. In this case, it was impossible to rely on others, and they had to find a way to break the situation themselves. Do you think there is a possibility that only we were teleported? Zikingayu lowered her voice to communicate with her. Maybe Sister Jiu is trying to save us. After speaking, Kyoshishi slowly shook her head. I don't think there is such a possibility. Since the two of us were teleported, the other people who entered the event must have also encountered this situation. Just when Zikingayu wanted to refute, a cold wind suddenly blew the curtains. Seeing this, he immediately grabbed Kyoshishi's hand. The two looked at each other first, as if to cheer each other up. Then they picked up the weapons they found and prepared to deal with the terrifying female ghost who was about to come. At this time, on the other side, Chujian and Huozian were back to back, and they kept attacking the ghost in front of them. Why is this endless? Huozian's temper flared up, and he swung the baseball bat faster and faster. This hit won't kill them, and they can't use their powers. I don't want to play anymore. Chujian used a triangle ruler to repel the attacking ghosts, and then said coldly, if you don't want to play anymore, you can quit the dungeon now, but then no one will come to save the little prince. TSK, he beat the oncoming ghosts with a stick. Is it not okay for me to complain a little? And it's not a good idea to keep fighting like this. My physical strength will be exhausted sooner or later. As soon as he finished speaking, the ghosts that had been dispersed just now were gathering again quickly, and he became more and more annoyed the more he looked at them. It was embarrassing enough for him to be kicked into the activity room by Wen Jiu, and he was chased by a group of inexplicable ghosts. If Chujian hadn't suddenly appeared in front of him, he would have been devoured by the ghosts without any weapons. It's not that he didn't dare to confront them head on, but these ghosts were too weird. Either they cannot be attacked and can only be hit with specific weapons, or they will recondense into shape in less than a minute after being dispersed. In short, he and Chujian fought for a long time, but they could not successfully get rid of a ghost. Don't talk nonsense. Chujian slapped him with a ruler again. I will count to 3, 2, 1, and then we will run upstairs. It would be best if we can rush directly into the activity room on the 4th floor. If we can't rush, find a place to hide first. Of course, he knew that it would be a waste of effort to fight like this, so he had thought about breaking through the siege early in the morning. After saying that, Huo Xianan viciously hit a ghost away. What are you counting? Just run. He really didn't want to entangle with these ghosts anymore. If he continued to fight like this, he felt that his good character, perfect personality, and even his soul would be destroyed. After he finished speaking, he swung a baseball bat and rushed directly into the group of ghosts. However, the moment he rushed over, the ghost suddenly turned into a mist that was difficult to touch. No matter how he swung the baseball bat, the ghost still lingered around him. Then a terrifying chill spread, and he felt his whole body become stiff. Just as his movements became slower and slower, Chu Jian suddenly threw out a crumpled piece of paper. A dazzling light suddenly appeared, dispelling the chill on his body and making those ghosts dissipate in an instant. Before he could say thank you, Chu Jian carried him up and ran towards the stairs. Thank you. Huo Xianan sat on the ground against the wall, panting, but you have such a treasure. Why didn't you take it out earlier? Hearing this, Chu Jian, who was next to him, punched him in the chest. That was given to me by Wen Jiu to save my life. Just that one piece. Wen Jiu gave it to you. He covered his chest with some pain. Is this a special prop? Why didn't the little prince and I get it? After a long while, he finally recovered. However, Chu Jian only glanced at him and said, because this is the talisman drawn by Wen Jiu himself, and you hit her right away and wanted props. It was a mercy of her not to let you die on the spot. After saying that, the other party stood up and walked to the back of the classroom, as if he wanted to find some more convenient weapons. Generally, the students sitting in the front row are good students, and it is difficult to find anything with lethal power. So if you want to find a weapon, you have to look at the students in the back. But Chu Jian stopped while walking, and Huo Xianan saw the surprise in the other party's eyes in the bright moonlight. This is the first update of today, please check it out. Little Angels 030. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.